Hey everybody, welcome back to another Hyperloops 2021 podcast. No Bobby Sapphire, but as always, we have the great NJ Cuenca. How you doing, baby?
I don't know about great, but I am NJ Cuenca. I'm okay.
And me, your, I guess, host. I don't know what the hell I am. I'm a has-been, leftover goods from a time long past ago. Only sarcastic. So today we are coming back to give you some more villain cards and our thoughts on them. We're gonna go through villain red, and hopefully we have enough time to get you through yellow without anything going on. And I think we have NJ Cuenca there with a nip. For those,
Yeah, I'm loosening up with a fireball. Just why
great.
not?
Yep. And, for those of you that know what a nip is or a fireball, like congrats, kudos. We
Mm.
understand your plight. For those that don't,
Yeah, it's cinnamon whiskey. It's fine cinnamon whiskey actually. It's red hot, and it's very smooth and sweet, like kind of sickly sweet. So what I like to do actually is I like to mix it with a beer, and that's what I do. I do like a little shot, a little beer. For those who've been in like the bars that give you like a shot and a beer, this is kind of like a good kind of it's like sweet and it's a quick way to like start your buzz off. But that's it. That's all you need to do. You need to drink responsibly.
drink responsibly. All right. So any of those of you that saw the glasses, those are not like prescription. Those are just random blue light ones. I spend way too much time at the PC right now. I kind of like want to go to bed at some point and not have my eyes hurt or uh, ocular migraines. They stink. Look into them. They're good glasses. They're cheap. Amazon. It's like 3 for 10, 3 for 15, something like that. I don't know. Who cares? Anyways,
Yeah, I think we should get a sponsor for those. They're handing those out like hotcakes.
I know, right? We'll go in. Just like, oh, baby. Well, I'll have like Hyperloops ones and like emblazoned on the side. It's like, oh, yeah, we'll get these like cheap, terrible things. It'd be awful and funny all at once.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
can go. We can go through Alibaba. That's where you get all the.
Alibaba. I don't know,
That's where you
man.
get all the. That's how
Jack,
you do the business.
Jack Ma just came out of hiding. I don't know if I want to touch anything with Alibaba anytime soon. China don't play. Any last
Yep.
parting thoughts before we get started, Gwenga? Say hello. Thank God. Thank your mom. Anything?
Well, I want to give a shout out to my mom. She just got the second vaccine yesterday, and she's doing okay. And so that's a prop and a slop to my dad, who does not want to get the vaccine, even though he's 78. And I quote, give it to someone else who needs it. As a 78-year-old man who has a heart problem. So, yeah. And then he was just like, so I was like, oh, come on with that bullshit. Like, come on, man. Go get in line. And he's like, I left Cuba so I wouldn't have to stand in lines. And I was like, oh, come on, man, this is a figure of speech. And then so I messaged him and I'm like, okay, I'll go with you. And he's like, that's not why I'm getting it. I'm not getting it. I'm going to wait. I want to see what happens and I want to see which is the best one. And that's the one I'm going to get. But he's
That's fair.
just full
I
of it.
think I think it's the Pfizer one over the Moderna one, but I haven't really researched. Isn't there something too where if you like bring the old person to get their shot, you can get your shot too?
I heard that, which is one of the appeals of taking it.
I haven't looked into
But
any of that. So if this is a lie, like I'm sorry for misguiding you.
I've heard that too. No, actually, I have heard that from a friend who is a nurse. So
Oh,
something, I don't know if it's always the case, but I think it might be the sort of situation where like maybe if you're caregiving for them, but like
if you lived
my
with them or
dad will
something,
be
maybe.
swearing and slapping people's butts. So I don't think that they're gonna be nice to him. They're just gonna
When I
stab
think
him and
when I think slapping people butts, I can only picture like the old guy who's in like a nursing home, like
yeah,
messing with the candy stripers. Like,
yeah. I mean, no, he's not that bad, but he's a lot. He's a lot. I used to work with him. I don't anymore. It's very difficult. Family businesses. Bad personal experience, but they can be great.
yes. Is that Nicolas Cage on the pillow in the back? Because that looks hilarious. Like,
Yeah,
why do you
no.
got a
Usually,
jacked Nicolas Cage there?
well, I mean, he's always Jack, bro. Like, come on now, give some respect. Someone gave that to me for Christmas as a gift, and I like to. He's a fellow hairy chest-haired man, so I like to keep him there as my totem of power.
Your total
Right,
power.
right where Krang is, and my He-Man toys. So it's all. It's all a smorgasbord of collectibles. My
Gotta love
room
it.
is.
Gotta love it. All right, let's get started so we can try to finish at some point tonight. Uh, we'll alternate going back and forth. General Veers, 14, 17 for points, 10 health. Die sides are 1 range, 2 range, 2 focus, resource, blank. At the start of the first round of the game, you may spend 2 resources to add a set aside snowtrooper to your team. Power action, take control of the battlefield. I read it, so you can go ahead. Your thoughts first.
Well, I actually spent, unlike usually, I spent probably like an hour or two just thinking about red villain cards
Mm-hmm.
today. So I have a lot to say about the topic. But since I actually read all of the cards together and then looked at all of the red cards that are legal for the standard format, I have a lot of thoughts. And I haven't actually played with Veers, so that's my one caveat. I will say that I don't love Snowtrooper. It's important to also mention Snowtrooper when we talk about this card because I think it is kind of important. And I'll rattle off. Let's rattle off Snowtrooper. He's a 7 cost, non-unique. Has 8 health. His sides are 1 range, 2 for 1 range, modified 2 range, resource blank blank. And he has text. He's a trooper. His text is while you are fighting on Hoth, this character has +1 health. And so I don't. While 2 in theory is like pretty good because you get +8 health. I don't. I don't love Veers because it is the first action of the game, and like if you pay 2 for a die that does that, it's kind of mediocre. Granted, you are getting the +8, but you are sorry the +8 health. But the problem is that then you don't have any money in the first round, right? And that kind of stinks. Also, Veers has 10 health, which is pretty low for a 17 cost or even a 14 cost character. His die's like fine, but again, for a 17 cost character at Elite, that's not good, I don't think. His power action is really sweet with what you want to be doing in that sort of deck. I don't know if you can pull up while I'm talking, if you can pull up the Hoth, the new Hoth battlefield. I think it's also kind of,
Are you talking about
we weren't
defensive? Are you
planning.
talking about defensive perimeter?
Yeah.
That's hero.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so that doesn't matter. Um, that's only for hero.
That's only for hero. Oddly enough, the
Oh
first time I
wow.
played against Veers, I was playing on Hoth. So we had it, and then his guy was +1 health.
Oh. All right. Well. So yeah. So that's interesting. So I mean. So yeah. So I guess it doesn't. That's actually worse than I thought it was. I thought you could play on Hoth and be like, oh, all right, well, you get the
Are there
option there.
are there
But
multiple Hoth battlefields though?
let's see here. Hoth. Yeah, there's only. I don't know if there's a Hoth. Well, I don't know if there's a standard legal Hoth. We'll have to check that real quick.
I think it's irrelevant. It
But
doesn't matter.
I don't think the +1 health is a game breaker because I think that like that battlefield obviously would be very insane if you could play it with villain. Um, and it's kind of like doesn't matter. Besides, the +1 doesn't make the incentive. Like that would be just insane if you could play that card with all the taking of the battlefield stuff that villain can do. Uh, but having said that, so it's much worse. I thought you could play on Hoth. And
Nah.
yeah, I don't like Veers because of all those reasons that I've just rattled off.
But yeah, if you could actually play on Hoth, then you could actually protect Veers better and use that die that you got that was shit to do so. So yeah.
Right.
But I'm checking them. Perimeter Outpost is also on Hoth, and it's neutral. It's select only if your team has 2 or more red characters. Gain 2 actions. Give control of this battlefield to an opponent.
Oh, that's the one I was talking about.
Well, I said defensive perimeter. That's also
Oh,
Hoth.
sorry. Right. Okay. So there's perimeter outpost is the new card. So I thought you okay. So this is the thing that they wanted you to do, and that's why I was just squinting here, and the PDF has the cards rotated in a weird way. So I was like, oh, that's I just kind of took your word for it. But So yeah, so this is actually good for being able to take the battlefield, because then you can, they can gain 2 actions, give control. So yeah, you can't use a power action. Like, say your opponent started with it, they can just use it right away, and then you can't use it. So you can't like do the shenanigans. But if you start with it, you can use it, uh, and then take it back, which matters for a lot of other stuff, which I'll go into as the cards are talked about. But yeah, I still don't like it. Even with that, I still don't like Veers, because of the other reasons. Small health, a lot of cost. You're kind of all in on Snowtrooper. You could also just like not play Snowtrooper, but then like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
You could not just decide to add him to your team. It's just the die. It mostly just comes down to the dies aren't good enough and the health is too low.
So yeah, I understand the health being low. I think the die is better than you give it credit for, though. Only because, like, from a value perspective side, two range and resource are, like, interchangeable. It's weird in that, like, you'd prefer to have multiple twos in order to, like, push aggression. But he does have multiple resources, so he can recover back from the situation he was in, with spending the money. And the two focus is kind of like that big die side. The dilemma with perimeter outposts is that it's select only if your team has two or more red characters. And the issue there is that means you're almost mono red, because if you spend 17 on him and then you have any other
Right.
red character, how much do you have left? So
Right.
sure, okay, mono red, you get some cool stuff. The gain 2 action thing is kind of filthy when you take into consideration the focus. You could, like, do that PA into, like, focus into some, like, massive damage and then snuff a guy off the table. So there's that. But the way I would say it is the Veer's ability is like Camino. Like, do you like Camino cloning? If you could Camino cloning trigger round 1, would you do it? If you would do it, then it's like, okay, this kind of makes sense. And I think the big thing there is that you can get value from that character die off the Snowtrooper to make up for the resources you lost. Like, let's say you don't start with a trooper of any sort, then you can at least have measure for measure alive. If you hit the +2s, it was worth like a resource that round. So it's kind of like, you could treat it more as like a starting with an upgrade. You start with
Right.
like a very questionable upgrade, but the upgrade has 8 health, and you can best defense onto it and like kind of silly things. The list
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
the list I originally saw was Jabba Veers. Um, so Jabba looking for Reap, the +2s to pair with those base resources. It kind of got back to its money quickly, and then you had a 2 focus on 4 of your starting dice, which is kind of like disturbing if you think about it. So,
Yeah.
like, I don't hate them. I think the power action also gives you play with a lot of powerful cards. Survival instincts. So now you can give the battlefield up, remove a die that's showing 2 or less. I can't remember the 1-cost one, but there's a 1-cost one where if you have the battlefield, you mitigate a die. If you don't have the battlefield, you get control of it and you like re-roll a die. And you can do silly stuff with like Weta Palace, Salt Flats. Jabba and Veers are both leaders. And since you're just gonna steal it back every round, you kind of just keep your opponent off of it and get that abuse, provided you get to play on a power action battlefield.
Right. My big thing is like, I always just go back to the health thing if you
Mhm.
do decide to play Snowtrooper. And granted, I was thinking about it as like, as an upgrade. Like, but do you put that card in your deck? Like, for example, Camino. I think it's not the best because IDT is better.
Mhm.
And it's mostly just that IDT is better, and also like the fact that you're doing it in the middle of a point where it like is beneficial. You have like choice.
Mhm.
I think that's also matters. And if you do pay 2, you don't really have good ways of protecting him besides. Um, I'm blanking on the name of the card that costs 0 and you discard a card, or the one that you mentioned, which
Yeah,
just
a
remove a
sinister
trooper
piece,
die.
measure for measure. But survival instincts, if you're with yellow, gets there. If you're mono red, you don't get
Right.
survival.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's cool. I was definitely thinking you have survival instinct, and you have like the other one too. I think so. You have like 2-0, like, and that.
Hasty rotated.
Oh, hey, zero sided. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I
but
guess you just have that one
you
then.
still get measure for measure. You have sinister piece if you want it, and survival instinct. That's a solid assortment of 0 cost mitigation.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I guess it really depends on like what the format looks like, but like at no point I can think of in Destiny's history has like a 10.17 cost character been good. And playing this at like one die just feels bad. Uh, so I don't know. I'm out on him, mostly because I was thinking about Pyre a lot
yeah,
today. A lot of Pyre, a lot of thinking about Pyre, which there'll be a lot of cards that like make Pyre way better.
yeah.
Um, so
To me, Pyre's trash though, and I wouldn't play Pyre. I would play Veers. Like the thing for me is I'm treating this as like, all right. So if you had a 17-point guy, with 18 health and 3 dice, but you lost your first 2 resources to start, would you run it? And from like an aggressive perspective, because his die sides don't really require rerolling, I think I'm okay with it.
yeah, I mean, it's just the health is so low, man. Like I was like playing, like when you played, obviously like Anakin's not the best
Mm-hmm.
analogy, but even like if you have a 2 die character with 17 points, it's just he's got such a bullseye on his head. Like they're definitely gonna like
Sure, but does he
anyone can.
does he have an actual bullseye? You just said his die was not great.
If you have to pay 17 points, like where are the other 13 points going? You know what I mean? Like
No, but that's what, so. Let's say you run Veer's Jabba.
okay,
So like Veer's Jabba, who are you killing first?
you kill fears.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why?
All the aggression's there. Jabba just sits there and just like durdles and
Makes
like
money and
you're
searches for
taking
yellow events.
yeah.
If you're
Yeah, I
playing a
mean like
support based deck, who do you kill?
I mean it's closer, that's for sure.
No, I think you like.
Uh,
I think if you're playing support, you can't do anything besides go kill Jabba.
the problem is that you're going to have so many more he's already going to have like 2 activations to like get a DM desperate measures.
Yeah.
So it's like you're maybe like taking them off of 1 activation.
No, but I mean,
Well, I mean
if you kill Jabba, DM's dead.
yeah, absolutely. And like you play the whole game, right? Uh but this is a different question of like how good are like DM decks and how good are support decks. That's like a whole different conversation. I agree that you make a good point. I'm out on 10 health, 17 point. I play plenty of like all in decks, but
Yeah.
if I'm going to play an all in deck, I want something like think about it this way.
Mm-hmm.
When you played Seventh Sister, it was like a 10 point
Oh, I had a 10 health deck.
point
Yeah.
yeah, it was a 10 health deck. So it's like uh like this is actually probably less like a little bit better because you're probably going to be playing supports
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know what this deck would look like. I'm imagining it has supports.
Yeah. No, you push the support prerogative. If you're yellow red, you entourages, mega blasters, and then you probably have the trooper setups for like Imperial Officer and whatnot in Caminos. Because the thing there is that like you set up these supports and you can have a bunch of healthy your opponent has to get through. If your opponent is not a support based deck and they're aggressive, they have to get through a lot of health. They have to get through 28 to kill you, and that's before Camino gets additional stuff. Because if Camino goes off, now you're at another 9, you're at 30, 37. It's like, oh man, and so it gets out of hand. And if your opponent's support based deck, you have Jabba, so you're like ahead in that route. The killing the opponent's kind of where it gets weird. Like I think you just probably mulligan aggressively for Entourage or Mega Blaster and go. If your opponent has access to DM, then you probably have to go small ball, Fickles, conscripts, and push the damage to kill Jabba.
Right.
But I think
Yeah,
you might not give
and I
him
get
enough
that.
credit.
I think he's all right. I mean, he's interesting enough. I'm not going to say that he's trash.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I'm out on him because I think that there are other things that I'd rather do, like Pyre. I'd rather Pyre.
Dude, Pyre's awful. The fact that you like Pyre and hate this guy is miserable to me.
Yeah, Pyre's just like Afra. Now Pyre's Afra. You'll see.
No.
You'll see.
Pyre's not
Afra.
Afra. Pyre's trash.
You'll see. You'll see what I got.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I can't even spell his name when I try to go search it because I was pretty sure he has a pay side on him, and it was like 1, 2, 2 for 1. Yeah, 1, 2, 2 for 1 focus resource. Ugh. I don't care about 11 health there. All right, let's go to the next one. Do you want to read Kendall Ozzel?
Yeah, sure. Kendall Ozzel, bumbling tactician, 8 health. Die side is One indirect, discard, one discard, one resource, modified money, one, and a blank. And he's a character leader. His text says before the starting character roll, each opponent may choose to lose the starting character roll to give shields to their characters, distributed as they wish.
All right, so 2 shields, but yeah.
Yeah, 2 shields. What did I say?
You just said give shields.
Oh, give 2 shields
Yeah.
to their characters, distributed as they wish.
And he's 7-9.
Each opponent. He is a 7. Oh, yeah, 7. Yeah, single die, and then 9 2 dice. So, yeah, I don't know. You can go first since I went first on Veers.
I kind of like it. So from a mill perspective, you know, it has the single discards on 2 sides. That's great. It has modified resource and resource. The modified's questionable, but usually you're just looking for money or discards anyways. The indirect, you hate your life over. Like, I wish that was like a disrupt or something. But it's elite for 9 points. Getting 9 points for 2 discard dice, or 2 discard or ramp dice, you don't even care about the 8 health. You'd pay 9 for almost like 10 health to begin with. So like 9 for 8 and 2 dice, cool. And your opponent can choose to lose the battlefield roll to get 2 shields. You're probably not going for damage anyways, so your opponent's really not going to take that. If they take that for shields, they have to like have a deck that's abusive with shields, and then at that point you don't care. You're still getting to pick battlefield. Like, you could, you know, even if you give them their battlefield and you take shields, like, their 2 shields were irrelevant. I guess unless it's like Anakin or something and they got like a Leia saber, then you just cry, you weep inside. But I like the cheap cost. I like, you know, having those die sides in a milled base deck. The question is just going to be whether, you know, kind of fits in that role or not. Over to you, Quinka.
I mean, I think I agree with what you said. I think that he's kind of just like a very specific like mill character. I will say that they definitely went with the mirror Jar Jar approach to this character, which is kind of funny because he's like the same cost and he's a bumbling tactician. Like Jar Jar's a bumbling character, and you know, Jar Jar didn't really do anything besides just, you know, discard and take shields. And I mean, this guy can't take shields, but you know, you're happy with the discards, you're happy with the money. Yeah, like you said, the indirect's bad. So yeah, I agree with everything. I have nothing else to add. I don't think this card makes mill. You kind of need, I don't know what the other pairs, what his pair looks like. You know, you probably want to go 3 wide, or, you know, generally mill has been 3 wide to like have more health. But yeah, I don't know. I know that no answer is still in the format, right? So
yep.
You still have that, and I don't know what the 21 points looks like. It's just, you know, like Dooku and like some other stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, Grand Moff isn't around anymore because, you know, leader, this guy just pick it up and be like, kill me, sucker. But I don't know. I think there's not much to say. Mill base deck, we could potentially see him play if there's not, you know, better pairing lineups. But there's a spy lineup I like a lot.
Yeah, there's he's a leader, so you can play it with Separatist Conspiracy.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool.
And Salt Flats.
Oh. And Salt Flats. Ooh, buddy.
Oh, baby. All right. I think we're done with Milford now. Oh, it's the Snow Trooper. I don't think that... How do you feel about this as a generic character? Forget Veers.
I mean, once Foss rotates out, First Order Stormtrooper rotates out, this guy will be like fine because he's 7 and red, and his die's like fine because, you know, you kind of pay what, you know, you're paying 7 for it. But I'd rather have Foss most of the time, I believe. The extra health is nice. So, but again, you know, I'd rather have Foss just because like the two solid is so good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and over the modified, it's like so much better.
Yeah, it's infinitely far better. Yeah, I hate him as well. Okay, yay, we're getting through red fast. All right.
Well, we spent a lot of time on Veers. We had a nice lengthy.
Well, he was a good card, or he was a good enough card. He was good to me.
He was, yeah. He was a good like. Well, no, I think he's like. I don't think he's necessarily a good. He's an interesting card. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, he
But
already
anyways,
just took
yeah,
more time than Ozzel coming back into the conversation. All right, you got
yeah.
Sibo. Go ahead.
Zebo Spectre Sympathizer. He has 10 health. His die sides are 2 focus, 2 focus, 2 focus, 2 disrupt, 2 discard, 1 resource blank. Character Engineer Spy. He has Detect.
Yep.
After this character's detectability detects a hero card, give an opponent's character 2 shields. So, and he has single die 10, elite 13.
Mhm.
And I think this is definitely one of those mill cards that, you were sort of alluding to, that, like, sort of like the spy, detect, mill, discard. And, having like 2 dice for 13 that have 2 discards is pretty filthy. Like, I don't know if we've had that rate before.
Original Jabba was
Uh,
14 with the 2 discard side.
yeah, but 13, that's pretty big. So yeah, I mean, watch out, Mill. Mill might be back. All those die sides are like pretty juicy for Mill.
They're
Like,
disgusting.
they're pretty juicy, yeah. Yeah, and like if you're playing Mill, who cares about the shields?
Yeah.
And 10 health for 13 is pretty average. So, you're not like, he's not like a glass cannon. And yeah, so I'm definitely in for a Mill deck. I hate you guys for making a really good Mill card, but whatever.
Yeah, the fact that he has double 2 focus means that very frequently you're just gonna burn one of those dice to flip to like a 2 discard and another discard or something like that. And people are just gonna be crying because like you can't just let the 2 discards in. So you're gonna like be paying resources to try to stop and slow that down. And the 13 means that even if you put it with like Elite Ozil, you still have 8 left to get another color or something else going on in the deck. So I think there's just a lot of play there. And as per usual, my favorite die side, 2 disrupt. Let's just not let our opponent play anything. That thing's sick. That the entire die is insane. And like you kind of have to wonder, like, is the resource the worst non-blank side there? And like how often does that apply to any card where the resource is the worst die side that's not blank?
Yeah, it's a push. I think it's a pushed card for sure. And it all depends. I mean, Anakin's in the format, and Anakin's generally very good against mill decks,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, uh, we'll see. I mean, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. I wonder if those shields could be used somewhere, but like those die sides are just salivating for mill. Gotta love that.
Yeah, yeah. All the mill players are coming out. If you didn't want to play in the continuation community, they're like, "Ooh, well, actually, hold up a second.
Like his focus
I got
sides
this
make that
Greedo."
double that the battlefield you like the Hoth battlefield where you get 2 actions ridiculous because you'll just take
Yeah,
2 actions, uh, flip to discards after using a focus, and then like take 3 from their hand. And I think that battlefield is also disgusting with no answer, right? We crack it, discard the card, and then no answer the last one. And your
right.
opponent
Yep.
needs to claim fast because they can't let you keep that.
Yep.
So I think we got the makings of a crazy deck, guys. I don't know about playing mill, but
Well, yeah. I mean, giving them, that's the thing. The 2 shield things is kind of a nice balance because you just can't throw them in every deck, right? Because it's like, that's a pretty big drawback if you're trying to do damage.
all right. So I think this is the next card. Is your next card Enfilading Fire?
Yes.
Okay. So as a
And
heads up, I'm pretty sure I said that correctly. I actually had to go Google the phonetics. But yeah, I feel like I'm almost saying enchilada. It's Enfilading Fire. 0 cost event, red villain. It's all going to be red villain until we get to yellow. Spend up to 2 resources to resolve that many of your non-unique red character dice, showing damage against each of an opponent's characters. Hmm.
hmm,
So I'm curious if you can do this with indirect. If you have like a 3 indirect, can you actually resolve 3 indirect versus each of the opponent's characters?
I think so. I
Well,
think that's one of the. But there's no. It's a non-unique red character die. So I don't. I was looking today, and all the non-uniques are like, like what's his face had uh, the stormtrooper veteran stormtrooper had a 3 indirect, but that card's not legal anymore.
Ah, fair. Okay.
So non-unique red character dice are like, the best sides you can resolve are like
Two.
two range.
Mm. All
So
right.
I mean the the drawback of this card is that it is like a better salvo in that particular deck. Like in a particular matchup too, because right, like if you play against a 3 wide deck, it's like a really good card, but like when you're playing against a 2 wide deck, it's not that great.
Yeah. It does say up to 2 of your resources. I mean, sorry, to resolve that many of your non-unique red dice. So
Right.
could like I have a
You can
sneaking
just do
suspicion.
one.
Well, I know I have a sneaking suspicion you can do like a 2 and a mod 2.
Right, I think so too. Yeah, I was thinking about that today,
Yeah.
and I think so. That makes sense to me, right? And you
Yeah.
just resolve four into everyone.
Yeah. It still seems awful though.
Well, I mean, you got to think about like Fost and then like IDT, and then you can like do the modified like +2, and then you have like a Fost die, and you're just like 4, and like I mean that's like the upside, right? That's like
Yeah.
the dream.
But then you just said the downside. You're running all that stuff. Like
Right, yeah. I mean, like I'm gonna tell you this. I like my list, my pyre list is like single die pyre, IDT, Fost, and a a plot we're going to be getting into very shortly. And this card is like a probably not in that deck, so or like maybe as a one of.
mm-hmm.
It's sort of like a one of that like I'll mulligan for in like that matchup, which I know it'll be insane, but
Okay, okay. We'll see. You got
we'll
anything
see.
else to say on this card?
No, we can. I think that we've said our piece.
Yeah. Non-unique red character is just rough to come by. All right. You can take
Yeah.
offensive position.
Offensive position costs 1. It's event. If an opponent removed one of your red dice during their last turn this round, roll it into your pool. Take control of the battlefield. I love this card. I think it's very good. Very good rate for what you're getting. It's very deck specific, obviously, because it's red die. It's any red die, so it can be like a big boom boom red die that like it has a picture of a
Blizzard.
AT. What?
Blizzard.
Oh, it has a blizzard. Yeah. Well, yeah, it has a picture of. I mean, I was gonna say an AT-AT, but yeah, I guess it's Blizzard One is the name of the AT-AT. But
yeah.
Yeah. So it's any die, and that's pretty filthy in its own right. But taking control of the battlefield has additional synergies. So yeah, I like it. I'm in on offensive position when you're playing pretty much any red villain deck. Pretty much. I mean, I think that like if you're playing red villain, that's the sort of thing you want to be doing.
Yeah. I guess like I'm trying to think about it. Like, all right, if a Veer's die got hit, I guess 4 of the sides I'd be okay paying 1 for, only because on top of it I'm taking the battlefield. So like if he rolls the resource back in, I could just take the resource and it's like I played 0 to steal the battlefield, which is the trooper card with ambush.
Mm-hmm.
So then like if you have anything bigger, the stupid 5-cost siege card, or like I don't know, the blizzard die, you're running it. I don't know how you're affording it, but any of that stuff, then you're just like, all right, well I'll get this die back, and it seems awful to me still. I've never liked any of the cards we had that like re-rolled your die back into the pool, besides like Terror to Behold Vader, because it was just built in. I want free.
But with Pyre, it also does 1 indirect.
If you take control.
Yeah, if you take control. But you're also giving them the battlefield a lot, so
Well, you're trying to give it back, right? Like you got to play something to give it to them to take it back. It's like a.
Yep.
Yeah, like.
I like it. I mean, I think it's niche, but I think it's like, it's slowly getting. I think it's getting to the point where like that kind of effect is good. Like I think that, if they, it's like an oddly time specific card if you're just trying to do like the boom boom, but like the added synergy of taking control of the battlefield, I think really like bumps it up to like a good card.
I will say though, getting your Admiral die back is really good. because
There
everyone
you
likes
go.
to mitigate that die.
Here you go. See, big brain plays.
Big brain plays for real bad cards.
What? Admiral? Bad card?
No.
All right, we're gonna have our own podcast just talking about that.
All right. I get the bad cards after you did. 2 cost, Reckless Charge. Event. Choose any number of your non-unique red characters and deal 3 damage to each of them. Ready those characters. So not only do I have to pay 2, I have to take 3 to the face and then be non-unique red to untap them.
Yep, that's
Who
about right.
the hell thought this would be right? Like, I could have 4 dudes and untap them and still be like, I just took 12 and paid 2 resources. Like, I don't care that I got 4 dice and whatever upgrades that you're not running because you have a bunch of non-unique red dudes you're literally trying to kill.
Yeah.
I think I might have been okay with this costing 1. I think I'm 100% okay with this costing 1. If you kamikazed your own board to try to hit me with stuff, because none of those guys are doing 3 damage most likely without any sort of upgrade.
Well, you can do this to IDT, like elite IDT, and that's like the thing that I think is like that's the most interesting thing about this card.
Sure. You still paid 2.
You paid 2 and then you dealt 3 damage to your IDT. So your two elite IDTs. I think that's like the upside, right? Like you deal 2 to it and then yeah.
So you could have like what, 2 IDTs and a Hoth Trooper.
Okay, all right. Time out. Yeah, 2 IDTs, a Hoth Trooper, and then like a
No,
plot or
two,
like
2 elite IDTs. Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah. Oh no, at that point you do Fost. You do Fost.
yeah, you do Fost.
When we get to the plot, we'll see. Okay, so
Well, no, you have 8. Well, you could do Fost and then the plot, or
Yeah.
you could do like IDT, like 3 IDTs and 2 are elite, whatever.
yeah,
But I think Fost is I don't know. Fost is so small, he just dies.
he's
so-
small, but he has the base 2 that you want,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
and he fits there with the plot, and the plot is plot.
Yeah, I don't obviously like taking 9 damage to your team is not. It has to be. It is a reckless charge. You are that maniac. I think this card. I would have been okay with this card, even though I hate ambush. If it had ambush, because I think it would have had more flavor that way.
Dude, I want it to cost 1. If it cost 1, I'd be okay with that. I think I guess I'd complain at that point because 5 dice for 1 and took 9 damage. I'm losing a guy probably that round though, right? Like whatever opponent got to do this is probably killing one of your guys that round if they did it round 1.
Yeah. What if it was 2 damage to all your guys and it cost 2?
I'd be okay with that. I still don't know if
Yeah.
I'd like the card. The amount of damage is weird.
It's just a lot. I mean, I think they went for the flavor of like the best defense, right?
God,
So
it's just such a weird situation.
yeah, I mean, I think for one, I think people would complain because
Yeah.
there's like plenty of like 1 cost upgrades you can play. Like there's the new one that we'll go over, and then there's the redeploy one
Yeah,
that costs 4. But if you have 3 red guys, it costs 1.
but then you're playing a questionably bad deck to begin with.
This is true. This is true.
So you should have like that niche spot where you like started the game and blew someone out, and you still had to roll. Like IDTs still are 2 for 1s on the thing. They have to hit the mods or whatever stuff. Like they could get those situations where they focused already because they used it the first time, and then they just get ruined after.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's like it's probably bad just because it costs 2 and it deals a bunch of damage to you. But I definitely can imagine like you just like you play this card and the upside of it is pretty insane, right? Like you just roll like a bajillion damage.
Mm.
You could roll like what 8, 10 damage. Like that's the upside. Like you paid 2 to deal 10. It's a lot.
Yeah, I don't
You
know,
go-
man. I don't know.
I'm not a reckless charge kind of guy though, I will say. Maybe in my younger years, but not anymore.
Maybe. All right. So let's go to the next one, and I'm hoping that this entire time we haven't had Cuenca going feedback to you guys because I just noticed that my mic was dinging while he was talking. Whoops. All right.
Whoops.
Go ahead, Savage Assault. You got it.
All right. Salvage the assault costs 0. It's an event. Exhaust 2 of your non-unique red characters. then gain 2 resources. This card's horrible, I think. I don't know. Okay, so I get the idea of like you definitely want to roll, you know, you definitely want to roll resources to play your like 4-cost support. And there's like 2 good. There's one really good one, Mega Blaster, and there's one that the jury's still out on, which we actually had a small discussion about whether or not it was good earlier, and then we're going to get to it. But it's definitely the card that they want to be good. But you do exhaust 2 of your guys, and you lose a card, and I think that's the big thing is that you lose a card for like the. But then like Joe said, you're playing a questionable deck. Like you're playing like the Stormtroopers. Deck. Maybe there's something kind of busted you could do where you just play like 2 Stormtroopers and then you start off and you're like, I got 4, haha. I mean, maybe, and then you get 14 points and you 16 for something like a big pirate that's annoying or something. I don't know.
So I can't picture how the team lineup would work, but if you had Veers and you had a non-unique red character and another dude on the team, and you brought the Hoth in and then tapped Hoth and one of your other guys to get 2 resources, you'd be okay with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of the consistency, and you do have upside to lose a card, but you know how in round 1 you're really like round 1 is like the hurting for cards kind of round, right? Like you really like all your cards are the discard's the most backbreaking in the first round, and you need to sort of line things up perfectly. And sure, the sequences nicely where you're just like you have a lot of options where you're just like, oh, do I sequence this right away or I can wait a little bit. It's also like a really good card against like pirates who are just like trying to screw you over.
How
you're just like, I got my money.
Oh, they took the money and then you get it back, you mean?
Well, I mean, the fact that you can just get money quickly.
Sure, but they're still stealing your money.
Right. Well, I mean, they could, but like, can't you just like first action like get 2 and you have 4 and then play like a big thing, like play a Mega Blaster?
This doesn't have ambush. Your first action was get 2, and then their action was steal your money.
Oh, is their next action just steal your money? Okay, yeah. We're gonna get to that card.
What action are they gonna do besides steal your money?
Right. Oh yeah, because they have to. Yeah, you have. Okay, sorry, I forgot that your guy needs to be exhausted, and it is, so they can just steal your money. But...
Oh, you're thinking Kragan.
Yeah, no, I forgot about the stupid pirate that I hate.
Oh, the little pirate?
Yeah.
Yeah, the little pirate doesn't care. Like, the little pirate could go first and steal your money right away.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So it's like, oh.
Well, it has... Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
all right, yeah.
We're
gonna talk about Little Pirate in a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, no. But I'm saying that like they're it's still you still get 3, and they do steal your money, but I don't know. The consistency of that probably makes it a little bit better in that matchup.
Yeah.
And you just have to find one more buck somewhere to like play your 4-cost boom boom. But the problem is that deck will probably play DM, and then your boom boom gets boom boomed, and your.
Well, it's also that they'll steal your money back to back. The pirate deck, like, at base consumption, there's usually at least 2 loyalists, no matter which version it is. So it's like 2 loyalists Hondo or 2 loyalists Kragan now. So it's you're getting robbed back to back. The little with the new errata, the old little version's gone, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
Okay.
All right. You can talk about your plot because this is your plot. Let's go.
Woo! All right. Relentless Advance. It's a plot. Team up is team up 1. Each trooper General Veers. And it says at the end of the round, or when you take control of the battlefield, place 1 damage on this plot. Action, remove any amount of damage on this plot to deal that much indirect damage to an opponent. So, as I was saying, this is sort of like this is kind of like the Neo Afra sort of like style of deck that we used to have, where you would just get like I forget the name of the 2-cost plot, but you could like you would draw a card every turn, but instead this will do a damage. This will do so. Every time you take control, you get a damage, and at the end of the round. So you're basically just need to like give them the battlefield, take it back, and then so at the base level, like if you build your deck correctly, that's 2 damage a turn. Most games will last around 3 rounds. Maybe 4, maybe 5. It depends on what deck you're playing against. And at that point, like that just gets like stupid silly. And it's not. And it costs 4 on the base, but this is the thing. There's a lot of options to like you can make it cost 1, you can make it cost 2. At 3, it's like a little more questionable because then like the things don't really line up that well. But at 1 or 2, so I'm actually really excited about this card. I don't know if it'll be good. There's a good chance that it won't be good, and I'm sure Joe thinks it's terrible, or he probably doesn't think it's terrible, but he doesn't probably think the cards are there for it. As would be my guess on his take. Because I think on its surface, it does a lot of damage. Sometimes you can just like this card's made for Veers where you like take the battlefield, but you just have to be able to like give them the battlefield, and your opponent might not even claim the battlefield. So that's how good this card is, where your opponent's just going to be like, all right, well, I'm just not going to claim the battlefield because you've got a stupid card in your hand that's going to take the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like this card a lot. It's a sweet design, and it's got a sweet picture too.
So I don't hate the card. I actually like it a fair bit. Using it's a whole other story. I think if it costs 1 or 2, it's getting far above the curve, even without taking control of the battlefield. Just because round 2, round 3, you'll have gotten 2 or 3 damage from it total, since you're just getting it each time, no matter what. So in addition, anytime you decide to claim it or do something that has to do with your switching battlefield control, or like taking it, whatnot, you're getting additional damage from it. So even from like a Veers perspective, if let's say you're playing that battlefield where you hand it to the opponent and then you're just stealing it back each round, you're getting 2 damage a round from the plot. So fitting into the team is a whole other story. But if you're IDT Faust, this costs 1, this is going to get the damage in. So like I think from that perspective, it's quite strong. The only dilemma ends up being is like indirect is pretty atrocious, but it doesn't matter at the end of the game. So you could literally just hold it until it makes sense at the end, one shot a guy off the table, or just whatever. Like you're at a point where you can switch targets, and then you just deal the indirect, and they put it on the other target, and then you just swap and kill that guy. So like I think the card's perfectly fine. Using it's a whole other story, but as a heads up, there is a blue trooper, Purge Trooper, if you're trying to get access to this, and it is 11 cost elite. So if you did something like Purge Trooper, IDT Faust, you get access to blue at that point.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely opens up the possibilities of what you can do. I think you definitely want you 100% want the Hoth, the new Hoth outpost, perimeter outpost in this deck. So you definitely need the 2 red characters. But with Blue Trooper, you're getting there. You Blue Trooper and then 2 other things in this. Like this will probably cost 2 or 1.
Yeah. Well,
so I like this card quite a bit.
You could start with Veers and IDT in this. Elite Veers, Elite IDT, and then Relentless Advance.
Yep.
And then just you bring in your other trooper and like go. You can push damage or grab money or whatever you're attempting to do, and just kind of do some shenanigans.
Yeah, and then like Blue Trooper might be better than Pyre, but Pyre gives you. This is where it's like I think it's like Afro, where like Pyre, every time you claim or every time you gain control of the battlefield, it deals a damage.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these cards that you have in your deck now really say deal an indirect damage. And the fact that this card stacks and those card stacks, I think you can do a lot of damage. I don't know, like I don't know how it plays out, but in my mind I'm like, whoa, like that sounds really cool. Like I would definitely want to try that.
Mm-hmm. So was it Elite
And
Pyre,
it
one
is
die
single.
IDT Faust?
No, no, it's single die. Pyre's die is trash.
Oh yeah, Pyre is red. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
one
and
die
then it's like,
Pyre,
yeah,
Elite IDT, and a Faust.
yeah.
Okay.
Am I getting you a little bit interested in that
No,
now?
no, it's still bad. Oh, it's miserable. Still miserable.
But it's like a little bit better than you thought, right? Just a little bit.
No, still miserable. You got to give the battlefield to the opponent. Like that's your issue is going to be giving it to the opponent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, I completely agree that that is the issue. All right.
Oh man, we're still not out of red cards. All right, we got a support. It costs 4. Let's see if it's good, guys. 501st Assault Team. This support cannot be active. A support trooper. This support can be activated. After you activate the support, you may play a set aside E-Web emplacement for free. You may take control of the battlefield or give control of the battlefield to an opponent. And it's villain. E-Web emplacement is the 3-cost support with the die sides of 1 for a resource, 2 for a resource, 2 shield, blank. While you control the battlefield, the value of each of this die's size is increased by 1. I think it's interesting. If you can hit it early, you can kind of make things bonkers. It does the thing that Cuenca wants to do with the battlefield and like passing it over or taking it. You definitely want a controller for E-Web. So E-Web with the battlefield is on the non-pay side. You're looking at 2 range, 3 range, 3 shield, which are pretty good sides. The 2 for 1 I'm not a big fan of. The 3 for 1 I think is fine there, because you'll be stealing control. So like I think from that perspective, it's an interesting card. You start up really really slow, but just the fact that you don't need access to a leader, and you can kind of just get into some ridiculous situations round after round with this. I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's also kind of cool that like it's a big support that like if they don't have DM right away, it's not the worst thing in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like you do get the actual card in place.
Yes.
And then so like okay, they can DM it after and then so but they took 4 and then you still have the E-Web encampment, which so you essentially pay an extra 1 to deal them 4 and make them discard a card, which is a perfectly reasonable exchange. It's kind of bad for them. So I like this card quite a bit. As it is exactly what I want the deck to do. And E-Web emplacement was always kind of bad, so it's kind of nice to see that it is now it has like a little bit of juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so giving them the battlefield is actually like a pretty big synergy swing for this card. And that's like one of the things that their design was trying to do with like exhaust 2 your guys to play 9 unique red characters to gain 2 resources just so you could play this like in round 1 like for sure. But
what was that tap resource card called? Tap red dudes.
Yeah, I want to say it's obviously not Aftermath, but that's the card that's coming to my mind. But yeah, it's similar to that card where you would pay 0 to exhaust a guy to get a resource.
Okay,
it's
salvage the assault. I was just making sure it said characters because I was like, wait, does this say troopers? So then I was like, oh, can I tap conscript squads? And then it was like, no, it's red characters. Okay, non-unique reds.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. I don't know. I hate 501st from the beginning, but I think if you smash this round 1 and it's not dying, like it's gonna do a world of hurt to the opponent over time because it's just gonna get ridiculous. Like if you get any of the non-pay sides and you're maintaining control of the battlefield, it's 2/3 shield 2 range, 3 range, 3 shield, and that's pretty high. So I think it adds up quite quickly, and as Cuenca said, you're kind of bypassing the DM thing if provided they don't have it the round you play it. If they let you activate it, like you're good to go. The E-Web's probably only worth like 2 resources instead of the 3 that was printed on it, and it's questionable at that point. But since you're playing like probably a control the battlefield effect, maybe Veers, stuff like that, like I think I'm fine with that. Like I'd be fine playing those Veers. Beer's job at this thing. You have some extra Mega Blaster shit going. Like E-Web's not amazing, but when you compare it to the other available options, I'd rather have thing that makes E-Webs than not.
Yeah, and you can always play like counter intel because you have a leader, and then just look
Mhm.
at their hand and then know that the coast is clear for that first turn,
Yep.
right? And then they're sort of in a tough spot where they're like, all right, well, I have to DM it, or if you got, or God forbid you got to go first, and then you activate it first, you put another one in play. It's just like, oh, all right,
Yeah,
am I gonna
well, so
DM this thing?
Beers took control of the battlefield, so he's going to get to do it.
There you
You
go.
counter intel, throw it on top, you play it, you get one, and then you never let them control the battlefield. So the next round you do it again immediately, and you're like, boom, I got two. You want to take this out now? Like I don't care.
Yeah, there was a point, not to talk about Veers more, but the big thing about Veers, and you're saying like yellow and like
Yeah.
Camino, like are we consistently gonna get to Camino when we only have like I guess we're gonna have 3 starting Camino dice, right? Because we have the Hoth
Yep.
in theory. So
3
I
starting
guess it's
Camino
not.
dice, Mega Blasters. You probably have conscripts, Imperial Officer, this thing.
Yeah.
Like outside of the Entourage Fickle package, I'm pretty sure I would just have all red dice, and you'd be fine.
Yeah, probably fine, unless you drew it late, and then it would be maybe.
Caminos, yeah, but Caminos are like that anyways. Caminos are terrible when you draw them around 5.
That's fair.
Plus, you have a built-in Camino. The first thing you did was Camino a bad trooper.
Yeah.
All right, I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I like it too.
All right, you get Big Daddy Behemoth. Your AT-AT.
Oof. All right, 8 cost Blizzard 1 unique. Its first size is 7 range for 1. Next size is a 4 indirect, followed by a 5 indirect, followed by a 6 indirect, and followed by a 4 discard, and then it's a blank. For those who aren't watching, Blizzard 1 is just an AT-AT, big ground Hoth. We all remember it from Empire Strikes Back. It is a support vehicle. It says this card's cost cannot be decreased. After you activate the support, you may roll a set aside copy of this die into your pool. Set that die aside after it is resolved or removed. I mean, do you want to go first?
Nope.
You said no. Okay. You can't cheat it into play, right? So it can't be. It can't. None of the effects that like can put it in for free work. Correct.
Correct. I think those are all gone anyways.
Yeah, and those are. I think a lot of those have rotated anyways.
Yeah.
All of the good ones.
You can't tech team it either.
Yeah, you can't tech team it. Is Voss still legal? Good question. I don't think Voss is legal, or maybe he is. I don't know.
He's across the
Young
galaxy,
Voss-
so he's out. But there are some
He's out.
real bad yellow cards that like random play things, but like not like
Right.
Delve.
Yeah, so this card is just, I don't know, man. It's super powerful. If I had no answer for it and you played it round 1, I would be pretty scared. And it is only 1 card, which is kind of nice for like those first rounds, like get a bunch of money, play something big. It does have that like, oh, if they have DM, I definitely lost the game because I got 8 resources. How the hell are you getting 8 resources? That's really the question with this card. Because it's so many resources. I mean, God.
You have to get like 4 and then go into the next round.
Right, and then you're like round 2, and like obviously like that's still good because you get like, like upside of like 12, like 14 to 12 damage, something crazy like that. I don't know. It's splashy. It's big. You can't decrease its cost, which obviously is terrible from a like Timmy from a Spike perspective. Like, how am I going to cheat this big bad boy into play? No, you're playing retail for this guy. There are no discounts. There's no savings. There's no sales on this guy. It's always 8, baby. And you can't play 2. It's only one. He's a unique bad boy, which is kind of ironic that you can roll 2 of its dice in. I guess it's just that powerful. It's got the double cannons.
I'm on the fact that you said you're paying retail.
Yeah,
Man said retail.
you're playing retail, man. There's no discounts. There's no coupons.
Uh,
But yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
so I'm just double checking.
Yeah, I just think he's well, I don't know. Maybe it's a lady. I don't know. There's no dong, so maybe it's a lady. Right?
I don't
AT-ATs
know
don't
about
have
any of that. All I know is that I've watched this thing get headstrong mitigated and people cry. Headstrong's a mitigation we'll get into later, but more or less when a die is rolling out, it can move up to 2 of them that rolled out. So yeah, like if you pay 8 and then you get like headstrong for which costs 2, it's like entangled essentially, right?
Right.
Yeah, you weep inside a fair bit. You get DM'd, you weep inside. You have to find 6 additional resources on top of the 2 you started with to play this. Like you need +2 resource sides from all over the place. But if your opponent lets you like resolve, 2 of the damage sides on this per round, people are gonna start dying real fast. So it's kind of one of those things. Like, how long did Vader's Fist take to pay for itself? Not too long. How long does Blizzard take to pay for itself? Not long at all either. But what happens when it just gets blown up? You cry. None of that's ever changed. Main issue here is this man cost 8. I think I would
Or
have been
lady.
okay with this costing 4 and not having the additional die roll in. It's like an 8, we get 2 of the dice. Yeah, but it's 8. It's 8 guys.
I like designing big splashy cards like this. I mean, I think it's fun, Like I think that that's actually like fun. And while it might not be a competitive card, I think it's definitely a card that people want to play because they can get that trophy like I cast Blizzard 1.
But the thing here is it's also unique. Like if you run 2 of them, you can't even put both in. Like if
I
you get the other
know.
stack of money, you just can't.
That's like I know that's like probably like a flavor thing more than anything. But like from a design perspective, they just should have like made it not unique.
Just take the
They
one
should have
off
just
of
been
Blizzard. There's
like
probably
Hawk.
multiple Blizzards. That picture had multiple Blizzards on it.
No, but Blizzard 1 is like I think there might be all Blizzard, but there's like Blizzard 1, Blizzard 2. You know what I mean? It should have been like Blizzard AT-AT.
But is
That
there
way
only one AT-AT? No.
No, there's multiple. I think there's multiple. Yeah, look in the picture in the offensive position. There's
There's
1,
3 of
2,
them.
3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
There's 5 in the picture.
They
Oh no,
could have got rid of
there's
the 1. There's a 3. I don't care about the rest past 3. I care that there was 2
well,
of them.
yeah. Well, the flavor is that Blizzard 1 is the one Veers is on, so that's why they chose Blizzard 1.
Got you. See, I don't know any of
Yeah.
that flavor crap because the movie is never
Yeah.
being watched.
Right. So he's in there, and Blizzard has his little funny. Veers has his funny hat, and he's like, "We're approaching on him," and
Okay, so this is the Veers podcast. Check.
yeah, the Veers shot fired podcast.
I
Hot
do have a
takes.
way to play this. There is a way I have to play this, but I don't want to cast
All
it.
right.
I don't want to
You
cast
don't
it.
wanna-
We'll get to it when we get to the yellow cards, and then you'll blow.
All right. Let's go.
You will immediately become French Cuenca. All right. We're still on red cards.
Bonjour.
Holy crap. All right. 1 cost. XJ9 CS14. It's a droid. It's a support. The die side's 1 range, 1 discard, special, blank. Special is switch the battlefield with a set aside battlefield and give control of it to an opponent. There you go, Cuenca. You can switch the battlefield, then give it to the opponent so that you can take it back to then do your 1 indirect with Pyre. All the innate combos to do a total of 1 indirect. All right.
Which is why I don't love this card. I don't actually know if I'm going to play this card, even though it kind of does exactly what I want it to do. And the big issue with it is like that's all very cute. The one thing I don't love is that you actually do have to switch it in order to give control. So you're always going to give it. The discard side's not great. And the rate of like 1 cost, like 1 die, 1 die, 1 cost, 1 damage has never been good. Like that's not above curve. That's not like a competitive sort of rate that people want to pay. No one's like, "Ooh, yeah, definitely in the deck. Let's go." So all that being said, and that's the thing is that like this special really does equate to 1 damage, like you said. Like it's like one. It's like one. Let's call it 1.5 or something. Like obviously you can get your battlefield, but you have to switch it. So if you have your battlefield already and you play this, you have to switch it with their terrible battlefield, and you don't want to do that. So it's like I'm kind of out on this card actually. It's also slow for a deck that like takes a bunch of actions, and like it's not the kind of action you want to be taking where you're like, all right, take 2 actions, roll in my XG9. Gotcha. You can't beat my probe droid. So yeah, I think I'm out on this card.
I'm double checking, but you might be able to fail to find the battlefield in the set aside zone.
Oh well, that's something that I had no idea about because it switched the battlefield and give control. So if you fail to find, do you give
You still do the other
you
stuff.
still give the
The and doesn't care about the first part.
oh the and yeah, because it would be then you'd have to do it. So yeah, all right. So you might be right.
Well, so for Extremis campaign, you were able to fail to find those set aside cards that you could have started with. I don't know if you can
Right.
actually fail to find the battlefield that didn't get chosen, but maybe.
Maybe this card, maybe this podcast will lead to an errata. How do you feel
Probably
about
the last one did.
that? I love it. That's so
Well,
good.
the last time I did this, last time I did this to them with the set aside zone, it led to an errata. I love fail to find is always funny because it's like what?
The set aside zone is a magical place that no one's ever actually been to, and that's why it's called the set aside zone.
Well, like it's kind of hidden. That's why it's a weird situation, right? Like you don't really know what's happening. But yeah, if you can fail to find, does that change it for you?
It's better, but it's like you said, it's only 1 damage, right? So like the rate of 1 damage is not good. It really will come down to like how good is that battlefield.
Yeah.
If the battlefield is like bonkers, then I think it's definitely worth like the 1 slot. Because it is unique. It's also unique, obviously, because they have to do that to us. If the battlefield is so important to your strategy, then I guess you could play 2.
Yeah.
But I also don't. I don't think the problem is that I don't think that I would like that deck if you had to have your battlefield, because like you play this card, then you're like, okay, I'm gonna play this in my deck, and then like I don't draw it in time, and then it's like
Yeah. But
it's
we've had stuff like that before though, where we played like the card that you had to like have a vehicle to like pay 1 to get your battlefield back. I kind of like this card from a perspective of like if you were one of those decks that wants it. The other thing is like I could see myself using this in a deck with a bunch of modified range sides, especially if you have a decent battlefield. Oh, I'm gonna switch to mean streets, right? And then now your opponent's like crap. Or especially if they like specifically took their battlefield and gave you shields, and then this came down and like flipped it, and they're like, oh god, because your battlefield's that busted for you, right? Even with Veers, like if your opponent's playing on something where you can't get abuse, I'd be fine running this as a 1 of. I think this is actually super useful in the mill decks though, because the mill decks don't get to play on their battlefield. This has a single discard side so if you SIBO, you can SIBO into the discard side on this, and kind of use it to help attack the hand. The 1 ranged you obviously don't care for there, and that's like whatever, but if you kind of think like any of the other decks you were doing stuff like Conscript Squad, right, would generally, outside of like using the trooper stuff and leader activations, I'd probably prefer this to I'd questionably prefer this to Conscript Squad sides because it has 2 base sides, and then the special's still usable even though it's a little funky, but
right.
Yeah, if you have some battlefield stuff that kind of requires it, like I feel like this card's perfectly fine. I don't hate it, and it's useful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. It's definitely a card that like I'm gonna try, because I like I like it from a design perspective, but like it's also like one of those things where like sure, like if you're playing a deck with like 2, where you're like, okay, I definitely want my battlefield, and it's super important, and then like my win percentage just goes up like through the roof when I have it. Then yeah, absolutely. Like then I could be in on it. But the problem is that like from just rolling it out, like you're not guaranteed to get it. It's only 2 specials, so it's and you have to like go through hoops. Like I kind of like it. I like your idea of the mill deck actually more so
Mhm.
because that battlefield is so insane when you get like the mill for 2, and that's like one of the big things with mill decks when you play them is that, like, especially villain mill, where you're just like, oh, I have no way of like getting to your deck all into your hand. This card is like insane in that deck, so I'm definitely on board for this
Yeah,
card in the mill deck for sure.
yeah.
Especially when you have like
Command center.
when you have Zebo, yeah, command center. You have Zebo has two focus sides. Like, get out of here! Of course you play this card in this deck.
Okay. So yeah, let's go to the next one. Man, we still have red cards. Jeez, there's so many of them. We're
There
actually at
are.
an hour 10. We might have to cut the yellow out and then do it in the next one.
All right,
Unless you
yeah, I
got time.
just
If you
want to
got
do
time,
red.
we could go for it. But
All right,
uh,
we'll see.
you take the electro hammer. Go. I'm still waiting on this ruling.
All right, Electro Hammer. It is a 3-cost upgrade weapon. Its sides are 1 range, 2 range, 3 range, 1 resource, blank blank. Its text is after this die deals damage to a character, you may remove one of its character or upgrade dice. Are you still looking? Should I talk about it first?
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about it.
Um, I don't I don't like this card. Mostly because it just doesn't have redeploy. Like I actually could be in on this card if it had redeploy, and I don't think it would be like actually super busted or anything. Um, oh yeah, 3 costs without redeploy. They have to be really freaking busted. Like something like rocket launcher comes to mind. Um, because like if you look at the rates for 3, there's nothing really that like is above pay, and like they sure you look at like the ability where it's like deals damage to a character, you may remove one of its character upgrades, and that obviously sounds like it has insane upside, but like from all the Star Wars Destiny I played, that's kind of it's a like an awkward situation where like a lot of times it might be a support, your opponent can like sequence differently to like kind of play around it. You roll it in and you paid 3 for it, and then you just mitigate your dice, and then that ability doesn't do anything. So there's like a lot of times where that ability just doesn't matter, or you're going after a character that is not the die that you want to remove. So then you have to like you have to do your damage ineffectively, or you like rolled a 1 melee and then you're like, all right, well, I'll, it's still like fine value, but you're like, I'll resolve 1 melee to remove that, and now I removed your die, and that's like still fine, but it wasn't the upside. Or you rule, or like late game, the die sides aren't like that great. They're like fine, but then you're just like 1 resource blank blank. Like this needed to have like another 2, even if it has another 2, I don't even know. So I'm out on this card. I think it's kind of poopy.
I think if it had another 2 on it, it'd be ridiculous. So like the thing is
Yeah.
that like we treat removal as like a 1 cost endeavor. So let's say this thing cost 2 but didn't mitigate a die. Would you play it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So then at that point, like it makes sense that you'd play it in general. Like yes, I know 3 changes things and whatnot because like it changes like the odd sequencing and you have to get a money before you cast it. But if you do hit a guy, you do get to mess with a die that could be stopping like 2 damage, even if it's just stopping like a resource or a disrupt or something. Like just taking a die off the table. You hate it when you do it for 1, but I'd say like value wise, the 2 and the 3 have like not Sheen mastery level. Yeah, no, they're like Sheen mastery, right? Sheen mastery would mitigate a damage die and smash a guy for 2. The 2 and the 3 here would smash a guy for 2 or 3 and then mitigate a die. It's a little particular in the exact way it's doing it, but it is still doing that. Even for 1, it's doing it. So like this is 3 sides of Sheen mastery special.
Yeah, but like, so one of the problems that I have with cards like these is that, you think about all the 3-cost cards that you've played, like cards like Entourage and like Chewbacca's Blaster. Like, I feel like this card's not even close to like cards that card. This card's not like close, and I don't think it's in the league of those cards.
Entourage is different. I will allow any upgrade usage here, but not entourage because the support thing changes everything. If this was a support, I'd play it.
Yeah, I mean, I think okay, so absolutely, because it's not. So obviously, I think if this card's like redeploy, it's insane. It's
Yeah,
like probably too good.
yeah.
Um, I think that like if it has like instead of that one, it has a two, then I can be like, all right, maybe. But that one's so wonky,
If
and
that
that
was 2-2-3,
so
I would really highly consider playing it. Like, just
so okay. I would also consider playing this if that resource was a two, because like the worst, like I don't know about you, but like I don't ever want to be resolving a one resource side of this card. Like I don't know. Like I think that that would make more of like a flavor sense, like a mechanic wise. Like if it was like 1, 2, 2, 3, then you're like, okay, I'm hitting that quite often. Maybe it's then too good. Then it's like then I think it's actually like kind of like all right, that's cool. Like we got a pretty consistent die. Sometimes I hit it. It's a dice game. Like deal with it.
okay. If it was two
But
two three and 3 blanks, would you play it?
2, 2, 3. I mean, I guess that is kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah,
Like the money's not necessarily, it's not a stone blank, right?
yeah.
Like you take it, it's like one of those things you're like, shrug, all right, I'll take my dollar, whatever. We live with it. I'll play something. The thing I play maybe does a damage or two, and then that's like fine. But I hope I'm sure you understand. Like the thing that I play for three is not something that I want to be taking one money with.
Yes, but now here's where the money comes in. FN 21.99.
Okay. Now that is certainly you have my attention. I hadn't thought about FNL. I'm not gonna lie.
So you can
So
sneak it
yeah.
in, smash a guy, and mitigate a die.
Okay. All right. So having said that, I love this card now. So I'm just all right. So FN, the interaction with FN definitely makes it better. I will concede that.
So yeah,
But it doesn't have redeploy, and outside of FN, I don't know. But it definitely, I think that they actually were probably thinking like, all right, we need a card for FN to make FN a little bit better. And
yeah.
I think this is probably better than like this is gonna make people real upset when you roll it in and you're like, all right,
Smash
did I
them.
get lucky? And that's like fun, so I probably will end up playing this card in an FN deck.
Yeah.
But outside of an FN deck, I don't know.
Well, at least at that point,
Question.
you're 50-50 to smash them and to mitigate a die, and that's kind of busted if you're getting to use it twice around.
Right. Or you get a money and then you're like kind of happy about it at
Yeah,
that
you're
point
like, yeah,
because
whatever.
you got it for free. You're like, all right, sure.
Yeah. Trying to think who else could like use this die when it comes in, and I, I gotta. Oh no, I think I gotta go read Hu Yang.
Yeah, I think with FN it's definitely much like
Uh,
but that's like contextual, right? Like that's contextual because you have FN. Like outside of FN, I don't know. Like
yeah. Outside of
it's
event,
not
it's still questionably miserable. The thing is if that gets on a guy that you can't focus down, it's going to harass you for a long time. And I think the comparison to the special on Shein Mastery is strong enough to give it a viable option of seeing play.
Yeah, I mean a solid 3 is like it's about the it's not necessary well, for melee we haven't really seen that as much, I don't think. For range we have. I think that they've been a little more conservative with the damage sides on melee. Well, aside from vibro cutlass, but
Yeah. Well, they
it's a
couldn't
whole
put
other.
threes on most of the blue stuff because of like draw closers and crazy stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, and that makes sense. So that's it's fine, and I think that like having the one melee, like you could re-roll it or you could keep it depending on like the situation, so it gives you a little more play. All right, so I'm a little more open to this card, but again, like I feel like these like effects have never been as good as you want them to be because they're a little inconsistent.
I think the mitigation's
Uh,
real strong. I think if they added one line of text besides redeploy, because redeploy would make it bonkers. I think there's one other line of
right, sure.
text where you would have been like, I'm in. If that said after you roll this die into the pool, you can re-roll this die, would you have been in?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think that if it has that baton, the consistency of the baton, because in reality, like when you roll this in and you roll a resource, it's almost a blank, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not a blank, but it's like pretty close. So you're basically like, all right, 50-50 to hit a blank. That's not good. With FN, it's different because like if you power action and you hit that resource, it's like, okay, I got a free resource and I
Mhm.
can still use it again. And when you hit a resource off of FN, that's actually good. So
Yeah.
um,
So that's fine. I'm fine with that regard. I don't like the card as like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing. I'd always run this.
right,
But for a card to be both controlling and aggressive, I'd be fine with it. The real reason is just because even if I hit you for one and I mitigate a die, if I'm versus aggressive deck, then that's probably 2 damage. So I did the equivalent to 3. I saved myself 2 and dealt 1. And that means that this card would pay for itself in 2 rounds. If you smash someone with the 2 and you mitigate a 2, you've paid for 2/3 of the card in the first round. If you smash them with a 3, you've paid for almost the entirety of the card. So for half of the die sides to pay for at least half of the card on a 3 cost, I think is functionally, super useful. If not, then you kind of force your opponent to mitigate it, and then you're in like a weird quandary or spot. But if you combine this with redeploys and any sort of like abusive actions, then you put yourself in a really strong place. And Sheehan Mastery is a pain in the butt, just a massive pain in the butt. You can't hit supports with this, which is where the drawback comes in, because if your opponent's playing like a ramp deck, you're only going to be able to stop ramp stuff with it, and not actually stop damage like Sheehan can. But I think in general, like the special potential of this just kind of reminds me of like Untamed Power and stuff, and like I've been overly content with those recently. I just really want some way to kind of abuse it. So FN himself is tiny and kind of trashy, but I'd be cool with doing like a 1 die FN deck and seeing if I could find some abuse here with this.
yeah, I think that you convinced me to think of it a little more highly than I have, but the inconsistencies become a little more metagame dependent
Mm-hmm.
based on like how many support decks there are,
Yeah,
essentially, because it's like they have the support decks have the dice that matter the most are the support dice,
yeah,
aside from like the occasional like 2 focus, but obviously like hitting those is good, and
yeah.
you know
I just think there's some world where I would try something like 1 die FN Elite Jabba and like a Fost or something, um, something kind of crazy, and see where
but
the world would be.
you ignored my Chewbacca's blaster. Is this card better than Chewbacca's blaster?
Um, yes.
Okay,
The
all
the
right.
only issue is I have with Chewbacca's blaster is the sequencing of it is usually pretty miserable. When you pay 3 for it, the 2 and the 3 are the sides you're looking for. You'll take disrupt if it can eat a resource. You'll take discard because you need it to resolve it so you can roll it back in. Usually speaking, the best places to get to use Chewbacca's are the ones where you have a focus available, so you can just focus to the 3, and then smash them, then roll in and do it again. It was absolutely bananas with R2D2 and C3PO, but if you look at like every other list past that, how often do you actually see Chewbacca's blaster in the yellow deck? Not nearly as much as you used to, just because when you pay the 3, you normally didn't have the 4th resource. So having multiple dead die sides, they're broke money, or you don't really want to take a card in hand. You were pitching to reroll like a monster and then like crying inside after. I've lost so many like free. I've lost Chewbacca died so many times to just random stuff.
One of the issues also I think with this card is just it is a bit slow in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that you will have to either take money or have money. You will have to play it, then reroll, then roll it in. So I think the timing of while its ability can still take something, it's sometimes you might not take anything, or like I said before, the hitting of someone that you're not targeting because you want to take that die is a little awkward. So I don't know.
That's
I mean,
fair.
I'm lukewarm. I mean, I'm mostly cold about the card, but with the FN interaction, if I played an FN deck, sure, I would definitely play this. As it is not unique,
Yeah,
non-unique, and that's pretty good,
yeah.
I think.
It boils down to it. This isn't something I'd be like scrambling to jam in my deck, but it's not pure trash like we're used to seeing. If you see this, you're gonna have to be concerned about it, and like that's the big thing. It doesn't matter what it's
Yeah,
played on. You're gonna have to be concerned about it.
unless they roll 50% of the die.
Sure, if they hit
Stretch.
blinks the entire time, you're not concerned about it. But before it rolled in, you're still like, crap, I might have to get in first or whatever's going on.
Right. Yeah. It does. It does cause some friction.
Yeah.
So that is fair.
All right, let's go in. We're in
All
yellow.
right. So
All right, so we're at
going-
an hour 25, Quink. Are we going through yellow?
let's do it.
Okay,
There isn't a lot of yellow villains, so we're 1, 2.
there's 10 cards.
10 cards. All right. We'll go through it quick.
All right, I'm taking Garandin because this is the guy I was talking about before. So Garandin, information trader, 11 health, 11-14 for the points. It's a single focus, single disrupt, 2 discard, modified 2 resource, special. Character scavenger spy. Detect. After a detected card leaves any player's hand, you may draw a card. Special. Choose a card in any player's discard pile and roll its die into your pool. Set that die aside after it is resolved or removed. This is what I was saying. You can use Blizzard. You can like get Blizzard in the
Right,
the discard pile and bring it in.
I did think of that too.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
What we really wanted to do with this with Crime Lord. So if you have the 5 resources already, you roll in the Crime Lord. If it hits the special, you crack the special right away because the special rules, and then you set up a guy to die at the end of the round. And it's Detect and
That's pretty
Spy
funny.
to go right there with SIBO.
Yeah, I mean the card is has a super powerful special, no doubt about it, and you can definitely build your deck around that special, like your Blizzard Garindon deck. So that's fun, and I actually do like its ability quite a bit because it like, I like drawing cards.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps you get to your cards that you want to special in. It's only one special though, so you kind of have to have a way to like get to that special quickly. But on the flip side, you do have the 2 discard side and the 2 like the modified money side. You can do, you have there's a lot of spots where you could potentially put him in. Cost wise, he's, this is a very unique card. I don't really feel like we've ever had a card quite like this. I think I like the design of it quite a bit. Because there's a lot of applications, potential applications for it. But it's a really, I think the highest upside is definitely the special and trying to abuse that.
Yeah. So for me, this was my milk card because it has a 2 discard. So SIBO cracks his 2 focus to flip his other die to 2 discard and Garandin's 2 discard. And now your opponent, if they only have like a single mitigation, they're going to play 1 to stop 2, and then you take the other 2 from them. So, like, you're just setting up in this, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. All the discards.
Yeah. All the discards all the time. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely very good.
And if you're wondering point-wise, ISB Agent is a 7-point spy. So, Elite SIBO's 13. Garandin at 11 gets you to 24. ISB Agent gets you to 31. And then you spy plot, because all 3 are spies, to get back down to 30. And they all have discard sides. ISB Agent also has Detect, and it's before an opponent discards a card from their hand. If it is not detected, you may force them to switch that card with one of their detected cards, if able. So then it sets up for you to draw off Garandin anytime they pitch a card that's not detected.
Nice.
Get rid of key cards, triple detect, shenanigans. Let's go, baby. Cool. We got the mill deck for the ages.
Boom.
Super harassment.
And
we got 2 red guys. We got 2 red guys so we can do the battlefield thing. 2 actions. Crack this focus. 4 discard. 4 discard.
You can get your battlefield always if you draw your little droid. Yeah, I mean, it seems real annoying.
Well, for me, it's more that funny thing where, like, you do the focus not off the battlefield to flip the 2/2 discards. If they have 3 cards left, or if they have 4 cards left, if they play 1, you just take 2 actions, hit 2, and then, like, no answer the other card. And,
right.
Yeah, it just makes them weep. All the sad tears. If you just want to take all 4, you just, here's my battlefield. I'm going to 4 discard. You go away. You're drunk. You're drunk. Any last parting thoughts?
No, that seems good enough.
The the plays. Yeah, I don't like the die sides otherwise for the most part. It's really weird, but like +2 resource can go a long way sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the special is like pretty intriguing. Like, I think that whole thing is like getting a blizzard die from it, right? Like that's like pretty powerful, but it doesn't really go that well with everything else that's going on, so
Hmm.
it's kind of awkward.
If you ran this guy with Bala, or would you run this guy with Bala? Because then you have a +2 resource and then the 2 resource on Bala.
It's a lot of money, and you got the spy plot, so in
Hmm.
theory you can do some stuff.
Yeah, and you get the 2 discard to clear some crap out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I don't know. I mean, there's certainly cards you can play that are like that are good from the graveyard. Like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. For yellow, it's weird. I don't think there's that many. That I can't think of that many good ones. Like
Mm-mm.
what's a good boom boom yellow villain card if you had to use mono yellow?
I don't know. You can't use Patar because it's not
Because
equipped. You can't use Vibro Sword because it's not equipped. Like I can
you
only
can
think of
use them, but
Entourage.
they're just not very good.
Huh? Yeah, you could use it, but no, that's not using. That's just awful.
Pirate ship.
Okay, that's also awful.
Go home, you're drunk.
You go
All
home. You're
right.
drunk.
Speaking of pirates,
Our
we got pirate loyalist. He has 7 health. He costs 7. She, I don't know, whatever. 2 melee, 2 guns, resource, blank, 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 power action, spot another pirate. It is a pirate scoundrel. Spot another pirate. Give control of one of your ready characters to an opponent until the end of the action phase. Then take 1 resource from an opponent. Well, this card is COVID-19. I hate it. Well, I've seen this card played. I've never actually played against it, but it's just this is like my shots fired against design. Like this is not a fun thing for everyone. This is not fun. Like your opponent does not play the game if you take all of their money. They're not having a good time. Um, there's I get it, like thematically, like you're stealing money from them. I think this would have been interesting if it was like you take a money from them that goes on pirate at the end of the round, it goes back to them or something like that. I think that would be kind of interesting.
well,
Um,
hold on. You're aware of the errata, right?
I am not, so tell
Okay.
me.
So he has an errata update. He is now power action. If this character is ready, spot another pirate to give control of this character to an opponent until the end of the action phase. Then take 1 resource from an opponent.
Okay.
We people were giving Night Sister zombies. I mean, Night Sister, yeah, the little zombie things to people, and then stealing their money.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in my mind, I just assumed that it was like, you know, I think that maybe I knew about that and I just kind of forgot about it, or I hadn't seen people play it with Night Sister Zombie. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But still, like I think that like still giving this guy to them and taking money is still really annoying and not fun. It's
Well,
not fun.
if he hits the money, right, then you didn't lose anything. They gained the money. They
Sure,
gained the money
and
and lost their die.
I get that. Or if you like deal 2, you know,
Yeah.
like that's like a money. Like
Mhm.
it's not, you don't give them a choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and there's some like if the metagame gets weird, there's a bunch of cards that like your opponent can play to like kill it, which I think is really funny.
People were playing it. Acceptable losses. There's like the blue one where
Oh
you sack a
yeah,
guy.
yeah,
It was.
yeah. Acceptable losses. There's the one from Hero where you sack a guy and
Get 3
sacrifice
shields.
a guy to get 3 shields. Yeah.
Oh, you get 3 shields to each of
Yeah.
your guys, I think, right?
No, it's 3 as you wish.
Okay. Oh, you know what it was? They were playing the yellow thing. The equipment where when the guy dies, you get 2 shields to each of your guys. So they were playing that,
right.
then cracking and sacking the guy, and then like shielding everybody. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a funny reaction to this card, right? But
Yeah.
it's not a healthy thing. Like, the metagame shouldn't have to do that.
Hmm.
I mean, I personally don't think that the metagame, like, that's just, like, it's funny, and it was something that once I saw this card, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna play, like, one card in my deck. It's kind of like the whole, like, uh, closing in,
Hmm.
where I have it in my deck, and I'll try to, like, mulligan for it, and then if they play that, if I'm playing against that deck, I'll get it and I'll wreck them because I'll basically cripple their whole, like, the whole design of their deck.
The Unshackle stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Th-
So,
That's casual.
unshackle, but as we saw, like, that's, like, not healthy. That's not a thing that you should do, and you should as a deck builder should have to do,
Yeah.
because it's very far from, like, level 0 or level 1. It's like, I guess that's probably like level 2, but
Yeah. It is indeed rough. They do have to have another pirate though. So, let's say they only play two of these guys. If you kill one, they can't do it anymore. Unless they hit like Raiding Party or one of the other, pirate subtype cards. But yeah, no, when I first saw this too, I was like, oh, I'm playing this guy. And it was two of this guy, Elite Imperial Death Trooper, and a Jawa. And I was like, because if he hits the 2 range, you just flip to +2 range. And if he hits the money, you just flip to money. And it was like, go, go, go. And I will give a Jawa over to the opponent and see if they have a freaking 1-cost neutral gray card in their deck that they can play. And if not, I'd be like, oh, well, I'll just play this Fickle or like Merchant Freighter of my own. Okay, whatever. I don't care. It was indeed very disturbing. A lot of decks were being really aggressive versus this. They would they would win the battlefield roll, give them shields, jam a 2-drop, and then push in real hard. And like that was the MO for a bit. I haven't been to the event the past week to see if they're still doing that, but uh, that was like the big thing happening until like the errata hit. Now they can't play Night Sister Zombies, but
yeah, but I mean, this card's still annoying, and it's probably
hmm?
still fine, right? Like, it costs 7. The fact that it costs 7 is pretty
Did
crazy,
you see
I
Ultimate
think.
Heist?
What
Have you seen
is it?
Ultimate Heist?
Is it the card from?
It's from the same set.
I think so. Well, it's a neutral card, right?
Yeah,
Or
it's a
no?
neutral card. So we should talk about Ultimate Heist just because of what it is.
Sure.
Um, and it went with these guys.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So it's team up 1 each pirate. It costs 2. And after one of your effects causes an opponent to lose 1 or more resources, place resources on this plot equal to the number of resources lost. If this plot is 4 or more resources, spot a pirate character to flip this card and attach it to that character. So the thing is that if you got to steal their resources, this thing would flip into crazy card.
Master of Pirates,
Yeah.
which is a 4-cost upgrade, a title called Master of Pirates,
Yep.
and it's a 3 range, 3 indirect, 2 focus, 2 shield, special.
Mm-hmm.
Has a power action, take 1 resource from an opponent. The special is give an opponent 1 of your resources, then resolve any die, yours or opponent's, and gain 1 action.
Yep.
R.
Yeah. It was ridiculous because you could get this online round 2. If your opponent like ran into a plunder, they like lost the game. And plunder, for anyone that doesn't know, was for you can't play it while you control the battlefield. For each of your pirates, you can steal 1 of your opponent's resources. So you have 3, 4 pirates, and you're stealing 3 or 4 resources. Your opponent like lost the game because this thing pretty much flipped over and ruined their life. Because then from then on, if they ever had a money, you were like, power action, I'll take it. And it was disgusting. But yeah, all of that kind of culminated together. The worst part about it was that because the team up of 1, you could actually run 2 pirate loyalists and Hondo, which you still can, because there were 3 pirates there, you would actually go -1 in the total costs. So Hondo was 17 for 1 die, then the 2 pirate loyalists you're at 31, but the plot would give each of them -1. So then the plot would fit in, and now you're playing against a Hondo, 2 pirate loyalists, and the Hondo rolls in 2 more pirate loyalist dice. It's an entirely kind of interesting, funny, like go f yourself situation. But yeah, there's that, and then there's running it with like Kragan or something, and it's they're disturbing, but like it's fine. We'll see what happens. Like I,
Sure.
I think the the errata to that like was a big thing. On a side note, Ultimate Heist was errated as well. It's no longer when you get to 4 resources, it's when you get to 6 resources. So it's much harder to get now. And you'll probably see pirates, far less often now.
Arr. Do
Arr.
you want to go? Do you want to mention Hondo real quick?
Nah,
Okay.
screw Hondo. He's
All right.
neutral. We had to
He's
talk about Heist though.
neutral. We'll talk about him later, but he is in the top cut of the January
Yeah, those lists were early
week.
on though. They're playing with the old rules still.
Right, yeah.
So, all right, go to Skreek. You got this.
Skreek. So Skreek, Warbird Enforcer. He has 8 health. His die sides are 2 range, 1 resource, blank, blank, blank. He is a character pilot pirate. R. Piloting. After you activate this character, if one or more of this character's character dice are showing damage, you may spend 1 resource to remove an opponent's die showing damage. And it costs 8, 1 die, 11 for 2. So yeah, I don't know. What do you want to go first?
Sure.
Actually, I'll go first.
Okay. Well,
I'll go
before you
first.
go, you're 55% on an elite Skreek to roll out damage. Continue.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that I like this card. I think it's like quite good. Like, we used to play Balatik in like the first set, and that just like looks laughable compared to this card. It was like two solid sides and a money side. Like that's all sides you want to see if you're building your deck to want to see 2 range sides, which I do. Or money. Like I think you just build a deck that wants to see aggressive sides. And I think you're totally fine. I mean, he has 8 health, but that's like pretty average for an Elite 11. Like at this point, it's probably a little bit below average, but it's like average enough. It's not like horrible. Like they kill him and you still have 19 points worth of stuff to kill your opponent with. And obviously the has piloting, so saves your own actions, and the ability is just gravy. And it's a pilot and a pirate, so a bunch of cards work off of it. Yeah, the card seems great.
I don't like it.
Wow, how far we've come.
The reason I don't like it is because you compared it to Balatik, and Balatik's broken by comparison. You go home, you're drunk.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. Bala had a focus side. I don't know if you realize that. And the man untapped. Okay.
Well, he did untap, but I don't know, man.
Yes, he couldn't
think that-
swat you with the base 2 damage side because those didn't exist. But all 5 sides are usable provided you had a base side showing somewhere. Had a shield, had a focus. The man was great. Don't belittle Balatik.
I wasn't saying that Balatik was bad. Balatik was great back then, but I'm just saying that like if you compare him to Balatik, there's definitely a deck out there that wants this card over Balatik.
Sure, there's a deck that wants this card over Balatik. Probably every other deck would be like, I'll take Balatik, please, thank you. Oh, look, I'm playing against some 4-wide or 5-wide pile of crap. Machine gun, ta 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 ta.
It's also like the situation that we were in back then, where you could draw a million cards and then like
that was FN.
Right, yeah.
Balatik was also played in 5-die guns.
Well, yeah, I mean that's fair.
He picked up a gun or 2 and killed somebody and then untapped and went to the next guy.
As a 1-die character, Balatik is better. He has a higher upside. You just put a bunch of crap on him and then he goes to town.
Even as an elite.
But then they kill him, and just
they were killing him anyways.
They were killing him anyways. All right, I'm not gonna say that this card's definitely better than Balatik. I never said that, but I'm saying that like we played Balatik, and I think this card in a lot of ways compares favorably to Balatik.
Okay. So you heard it here first, folks. Go rewind that like 3 minutes and you tell us in the comments what this man said. I am not going to go look it up. I could pause and go get the replay of what went down. But you tell us if he just said that Screek was better than Balatik.
Okay. What I meant to say was that Screek's die is better than Balatik's, and I will die on a sword for that comment. If I said that Balatik was definitely better, but I said we paid that for Balatik, I guess I was thinking about this die being better than Balatik's because like 1 range, 2 range, modified focus, shield, resource blank.
Resource, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd rather have this die. Like, I think that if this die if die was on Balatik, I think that would be better. Do you think that would be better? I think so.
The problem is I would have preferred Balatik's to FN to Foss die, and I prefer Foss die to this die, even though it's real close. It's only because I think you're not giving enough credence to how awful blinks feel. Like, yes, when you turn this to a resolvable side, it's a really good side. How many cards do you have to reroll with per round? We talked about how important it is for our first round in those 5 cards. If you miss,
Yeah, but like
it's bad. Real bad.
it's not. It's bad, but like I'm sorry. If you have another additional points, you can go ahead.
Nah, go ahead.
My point was like if Fost, for example, there's so many like a 1 range while is serviceable, not exciting, and a 2-for-1 in round 1 is almost almost a blank. I mean, sometimes you get like a bunch of pay sides, you get a bunch of modified sides, and it's like worth it. But a lot of times that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And admittedly, 50% of the time, on a single die, this guy, on a single die Screek, you're gonna hit a blank, and that sucks. But if you hit like a 2-for-1 pay side on, like a
Foss.
Like a Fost, yeah, you would be re-rolling anyways most of the time. You probably keep the I don't know.
Yeah.
You get my point. I think this die is better than a Fost die.
Yeah. The issue is that a Foss die was Trooper, and you can use a blank Trooper die. You couldn't use this shit on a blank.
That's true. Yeah, you can like now we have like remove a Trooper die to remove a die. Which
if we had he doesn't like you, I'd be there with you. I'd understand. But we don't have a he doesn't like you.
Listen, you just said it here. Balatik had he doesn't like you, and his die a lot of times would be like, "Oh, I rolled this. All right, I don't care. I rolled a shield. He doesn't like."
Did you know that I didn't like he doesn't like you? I hated that card so much. I hated giving up my die. I was like, no, I'm resolving everything. You go away.
Yeah.
I got stuff to do with these dice.
Did you just not? You never played it. You just.
I played it all the time because I was broke. But like I hated it too.
All right then.
When we got to the end of that format, I was not playing He Doesn't Like You Index. I was like, I don't want this. I didn't want to give up my die. I was greedy.
Yeah,
but
that's greedy.
I do like Screek's ability though. Like the piloting sets you up for like flank by wingmen. You can eject at some point, and those are like just really disgusting. The the ability to activate and mitigate a die also puts you in like really strong positions. I just don't like the die's a little rough, and I think the team lineups are really tough. There wasn't really good piloting for villain. They've got some new stuff, but I'm pretty sure the 11 still doesn't fit with anyone very well. The 8 might be fine, but then like what other person are you getting in there, or what's really going on? So you'd have to really check what's happening with piloting. But next sets or whatever's going on, there may be additional pilots that kind of operate more smoothly. Maybe you can get like a 3 character like villain deck going with pilots, and like that could be strong. If this was Hero, then like you'd have lots of play with like Hera and Kazuto and stuff.
Yeah, I think that my big thing about it was that it seems like it's good enough where I'm like, all right, like this could be good somewhere, and it has like it's a pilot, it has piloting, it's a pirate, guy has upside, ability has upside.
Mm-hmm.
That's that was my thing about it. And like, obviously, like the pirate decks might not want him just because we have that stupid pirate loyalist,
Yeah,
and so that costs 7, and then like that's
yeah,
doing some its own lame shit.
yeah. It costing one less is a little rough. I don't know. There's probably some play with like a bunch of little dinky ones because this guy still makes the heist or still gets the discount for heist. So
Right.
you could actually
That's true.
go 3 pirate loyalists and elite Skreek with the with heist and start as a 5 die like mono yellow aggressive deck. 32 points, and then you end up with -2 because there's 4 pirates. And if someone ever has 4 resources, you plunder and they cry. And you
There
win.
you go.
And you win. Cool. All right. Let's go to the next one. We got 7 to go with. We got to get out of here.
Yep. Zyro the Hutt. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he is a crime lord. Costs 9 for 1 die, 11 for 2 at elite. Its die sides are 2 focus for 1, a discard, 1 resource side, and a 2 for 1 resource side, and a blank, 9 health. It's a character leader scoundrel. Power action is look at the top 4 cards of your deck and play a downgrade from among them. Place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order, then deal 1 damage to an opponent's character with a downgrade on it. Do you want to go first?
No.
You said no.
Yeah.
Okay, I've thought about this card a little bit, and good. I mean, it does. It's very. It has 9 health for 11, and its die sides are all like. It's very weird to have a 2 for 1 focus side, but like a lot of times when you're focusing, you're like pretty happy about it, so you can pay 1. I don't know. It's weird, and you have like these 2 discard sides. I don't know. It's a little all over the place. I haven't thought about where it fits. I mean, obviously it fits. It's at its best in some kind of like downgrade damage deck. It's like pretty cheap for 2 dice. 9 health's like pretty good. So 2 resource sides. I don't know. It's a leader scoundrel. That's actually pretty good. So yeah, I mean, I think it definitely has applications. I haven't thought about it too much, but the fact that it's a leader scoundrel and it does have like this like selection ability where you're actually like you get an extra card, and that card is those cards are generally like not cards that you want to be playing from your hand. Although a lot of times you don't want to play them from your deck, but that's a different conversation. But dealing that damage is like pretty good. Also, like it's a damage dealer and it has that ability. So I don't know. I'm in on trying this card. I don't know where it fits, but the fact that it has scoundrel, it fits, and it has multiple money sides. It seems like it fits with entourage and maybe other Jabba, maybe the other Hut. You can do a lot of looking through your deck, which I do enjoy.
So my primary issue is that it feels like whoever made this didn't make sense. Well, so hear me out. If you're going the discard route, it's like okay, I'm going discard, right?
Right.
The money's like okay, money and this weird ass 2 for 1 money, but then your focus is miserable because you're always broke. The problem there is like power action is searching for downgrade, and downgrade decks usually are trying to kill guys. So then it's like, okay, let's flip the script. Well, we're going to a downgrade deck. Then why the hell do you have 2 single discard sides? Because those pretty much equate to blinks. So then it's like, okay, well, you have these crappy discard sides, but you can power action hit a downgrade to hit a damage. And it's just like, and what's your point? So it feels like the discard sides are like lending itself to just ignoring the ability and trying to be discard. And it's like, okay. But then like if you go downgrade, you now have like worse die sides. So I'm a bit concerned over that, I guess. I probably would have preferred to see like maybe a disrupt and like a 2 discard or something. Maybe that's considerably broken, but the 2 for 1 resource, I mean 2 for 1 focus is already miserable. So like what happened to this guy? The card you want to play though with this is Rendezvous, because then you're getting the ambush resolve on the 2 focus, and then you can do whatever you're looking to do. Whereas like you can't normally get access to like a really strong rendezvous target because like pretty much focus on rendezvous is like the most disturbing one ever. Because you're like, oh, I wanted a bunch of money. Cool, I got a bunch of money. I wanted a bunch of discard. I got a bunch of discard. I want a bunch of damage. I got a bunch of damage. And it gives you an action sheet of sorts.
Hmm.
My main dilemma is just like the downgrade situation's pretty bad. If it was downgrade or something else, okay, cool. So like, what deck is realistically villain and gonna play downgrades, but then want this guy over Trandoshan? And it's like maybe there's some crackhead zombie deck, and I probably still want Trandoshans over it. So like, yeah, that's more or less my issue with this guy. Like he just doesn't make actual sense.
Yeah, that's a good point about comparing him to Trandoshan, as his power action is sort of gives you a little value and then it will deal a damage, but killing them is just better.
Yeah. So
If
like
you're if you want to deal damage, yeah.
yeah, so like if you want control sides, like this guy's control sides are pretty rough. It's just like it's weird. Like that's why I think
Yeah.
like you might see him in a mill deck, but I don't know. I can't fathom him being in an actual downgrade deck that's trying to get value or some use. Checking for wanteds
Yeah.
and like zero cost downgrade seems great, but you have to kill a guy. So then like
Right.
those discard sides are just rough. If there's probably some way to like 5 die ramp with him though. Um and you're gonna be like a damage deck. He's leader, he's scoundrel, so he works there with entourage, he works there with mega blasters, and no one ever wants to kill this guy. But then like why are you playing bounties? Like it's a dilemma.
Well, you try to get a bounty hunter, right? So you can play the other
Dead or alive?
dead
Yeah.
or alive. Yeah, I don't know.
What bounty hunter are you gonna run this with? You know who's a
I,
bounty
I
hunter?
don't
Trandoshan.
ask. I don't know. Trandoshan, yeah, you play
Yeah.
Trandoshans and him, and I don't know.
Yeah. So then it's just like it's awful. It's awful, awful stuff. And
Well, I will say that that's actually an interesting point to consider. Is that him with Trandoshans like sort of puts Trandoshans online, so you can do double Trandoshans and 1-0 the hut, and then like be pretty confident that you're going to hit your downgrade to
you can't.
Trandoshan.
Double Trandoshans is 22. This guy's 911.
Oh, he's 9. Okay,
Yeah, he's not even 8.
my
If he
math.
was 8, then you're like, okay, cool, I got access to. Nope. You
Right. Yeah.
If you do it,
Okay.
you have to go with Extremis campaign, so you auto lose the battlefield. But yes, you would then have it online, and you'd be able to like ping damage with it. So like that is there you go. There's your play. You get to put 6 bad cards in your deck, then then do this stuff and dilute your ability to find the downgrade. Or you could just play Imperial Death Trooper and play like 7 or 8 bounties.
Play good good cards besides the extra bounties. But yeah, I mean, sure. It's an interesting card. I don't definitely not a day one builder for me. Let someone else deal with this. I feel like it's just like, yeah, it's all over the place. Like that was the thing where like I saw the one discards and I'm just like, okay, like you make a good point. Like discards and then like the damage is just like those generally don't go together.
I think Platform ran it with IG88 though, who wants to find a bunch of downgrades to put on people to like throw the die at people.
Yeah,
But
I mean that's cool and all.
Platform's crazy though. Love you, Platform. You're still crazy.
Well, I mean the second die only costs 2, so it's like, but that honestly, it could just be like you wanted one die him because his die's kind of bad. So like that's maybe what you want to look at is like, okay, one die him, and then you got like 21 points, and you get that ability, and that ability is sort of worth like a bad die, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
It's definitely worth a bad die. But like I'd pay 2 for. I don't know if I'd pay 2 for that die. I lied. It is 2 resource sides, and I hate every other side.
Uh-oh, did we lose you?
You came back, but your videos did. Yep, your video's alive. He's alive.
I'm back.
Backstreet's
Hey, I'm
back.
alive. All right, let's go to the next one.
All right. Everybody profits. Event. Yellow villain. 0 cost. Give an opponent 1 resource to deal 3 indirect damage to them. Math-wise, I hate this card. Like, I gave up a resource, and they got a resource, and they took 3. But that's a lot of damage. Like, end of the game, you don't care about your resource. 3 damage ends games. I don't want to do this round 1 though. Mm-mm, mm-mm. End of game though. I'm all over that. Ewoks would have loved this, except it's villain. Go.
Yeah, that was my big thing, is that like I've tried to build the villain burn decks and they're not as good as the hero ones, which is kind of funny if you really think about it. But aside from that, new cards I'm thinking about, I don't really know what the lineups would look like with this card, and like you said, giving them a resource in the round 1. It's not a card that you want to start with. It's like a card you want to draw in like round 3 or 4, and then you're like, all right, take 3, for 1, and resources don't matter as much then.
Yeah.
So it has a niche place for that style of deck, but I don't know exactly if that deck is what it looks like. It might be with some kind of relentless advanced deck, but there's no yellow troopers, so like that doesn't really work that well. So
You can play with pirates.
I don't know.
You like do stuff for a while, and there's a loyalist sitting there, and then if they claim and you give them the resource to smash them for 3, and then steal the resource back.
There you go.
This way you can get closer to that
it's
6.
I get that 6.
Day at 6. Yeah, that's all I
Yeah,
got.
I think this card is just kind of like, it is what it is. I don't think there's not much to say about it, because it's kind of a basic card. I mean, the big thing to note is that like I don't think this is like a round 1 sort of thing. This is like a late game, even though it costs 0.
I guess
Because it is just like
a 2-wide match is
random
kind
3
of disturbing. 3-wide match, they're just like, I'll take 1 to each, and you cry. You're just like, oh. Like, if there's an aggressive deck you could get away with this, then maybe. But I feel like if I was doing this, I want to be doing tons of indirect, because indirect's going to give you additional damage past what you're used to. And you're just going to kill all the guys anyways. But, like, you see 28 health, you don't want any part of playing this. You see 20 health, you're like, I'm in. You see Akbar, you're like, oh yeah. But only at the end of the round.
Right, yeah. It's weird. It certainly is weird. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. Aside from like that kind of burn deck,
Yeah.
But I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if we have enough cards for it in villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that had ambush, would you be in?
I mean, I don't know if it really changes much. It sort of does in a weird way, where like at the end of it's better at the end of the game, where you're just like, you can like play this and then do something else. Yeah, you can like chain them together, or you can like play this and activate your guy, and that's like, that represents like damage faster, which is like really scary.
I think I'd be in if it had ambush, only because I disrupt. So then I could like give you a resource and then resolve my dead disrupt side that I like wasn't gonna reroll anyways, and like get value back. Or like if I had 2 disrupt, then like you had a resource and I'd give you my resource, then 2 disrupt, or give you my resource, then steal it back with my pirate or my Kragan. Because then you're getting like max crackhead value, but no ambush, me no like as much. Too much sequencing.
Yeah.
Good players play really slow, like action wise. But I'm out. We done with this one?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. You got salvage run. I don't even know what this is.
Salvage run costs 2. It's an event. Salvage run. Take 1 resource from an opponent. Spot a scoundrel or pirate to remove an opponent's die showing a value of 2 or less. I mean, when it works, it
works.
It's better than a electroshock, right? Because you basically disrupt them and it costs 1.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it better than electroshock.
Well, I'm saying when it works, it's better than electroshock. So like, that doesn't mean that like it's better than electroshock. It just means that like when it resolves fully and you get to use all of the text,
yeah,
it is better than electroshock, which is a card that you generally are like fine playing, depending on what your rest of your deck looks like. It's not like a card you're like super excited about, but it's like that. It's like the solid. This, it's a role player. It's
Mm.
like that eighth man on a basketball team that you're happy to have in the game, but you don't want to play more than like 10 minutes. But anyways, Salvage Run is, you know, I don't know. It's awkwardly costed because the thing is that it doesn't cost one; it costs two.
Hmm.
So, and if you're like in a top, like if you're in a top situation, and your opponent knows you have this in your deck, like it's like super telegraphed a lot of the time. But having said that, I think that it could be the sort of thing where like depending on how it stacks with like other take money effects, it could be good because like taking one money is like really powerful, and then like your opponent like rolls a money, and then you're just like, okay, I'll take that money die, and then take your money, and then you're just like, I hate you,
Hmm.
I really hate you. So it has high upside in that respect. So um, yeah, I don't know. I haven't played enough pirates to know if this is like what they play in their deck. It seems that like I would try it as a starter, like day one, because it does have really powerful. It's really powerful. I think it's quite powerful. I think it's quite powerful for what you pay for.
Yeah, I'd run this. It is hard to use though when like you're playing against good players and they're playing the anti-pirate deck where they just spend they're down to zero. You only have truce to give them a resource. So even if you have to like truce to play this or something like that, like it's another enabler for that. In general, I think the card's perfectly fine. It's just when you don't get to take a resource, it's real bad. It's real bad. So like that's where I could see if you're playing in a field of people that are used to it, you might have to run 0 or 1. With the ultimate heist needing 6 theft now, though, life kind of gets real hard for you. Your opponent may kill like one of the little pirates and then just go whatever. You can't steal tons of resources from me, especially if you control the battlefield and just be okay with it. And then they might run into this. But I think if you have a bunch of theft cards, because these cards start from so far behind, it's going to be largely problematic. But if you play against a ramp deck, they're you ruin them. You ruin like every ramp deck when you're playing pirate, provided that you can actually do damage.
Yeah. All right. Next event, Triple Dark Attack, which sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Triple Dark Attack costs one. It's an event. As ambush, choose an opponent's character and force them to activate it. Then you may activate one of your pirate characters. Choose an opponent and force them to activate it. Activate one of your pirate characters. I'm trying to. You go first because
Yeah.
I don't know that much about pirates, and I'm sure I'm gonna say something
So it's
wrong.
it's pretty much like Hondo, Kragan, the pirate loyalists, Greek. This gives you access to an action cheat card. Most of us look at this probably just think like Kragan, you could like try to sneak steal a resource. Um, and like there's some value there definitely for that because you could pick a guy that doesn't have a damage die side to force them to activate. Then you get to go Kragan in, take their money to replace the one you paid for this. So you'll get like an action sheet for 0 in concept. Um, it doesn't require you to have the battlefield either. I mean, or like to not have the battlefield. So it sets you up in this position where if you started with battlefield, you could Kragan immediately steal resource from them. Um, but once again, they have to like not have a purely aggressive deck because you get into weird situations. But yeah, with Kragan stealing the resource real strong, and in general, it sets you up for any of the upgrade like action cheaty things. Hondo could activate off of this, and then roll into damage and like kill a guy. You could like hit the disrupt and smash through their resources. So there's some very useful sneaky things going on here. Um, as like an action cheat for the deck. I'd probably be fine considering it if I thought I could get real use from it.
All right. Well, all I'll say is that I enjoy this card in my Dark Magician Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. I think that's where this card shines the most.
It deals 2,500 attack to every
2,500
monster on
and
your side of the
how
battlefield. Um,
Now it is time to end your career.
but as a side note, Kragan does get to activate a pirate after he activates. So if you triple dark attack, your guy activates, my Kragan activates, my next guy. You could end up getting into like big damage if you play um, like Elite Kragan, Pirate Loyalist, and Skreek, or something along those lines. Um, can you fit that
Yeah, the
way?
card seems. I mean, the card seems fine in that respect. And it does have like that screw you, like you can't play an upgrade on your guy, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like they you. Sometimes it's a. It does suck that you have to force them to activate in order to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're down to a one-on-one situation and you wanted to play something before you activated your guy, then you can't, because then like they're gonna roll in their guy. So because it's a then you may activate one of your characters, one of your pirates.
Yep. That is a problem. You don't get the action cheat in like that end game situation where they activated the first.
Yeah.
I did realize though that if you run one die Kragan, you can go Elite Skreek with a Pirate Loyalist in the Ultimate Heist to get to 30 points because it's 13, 11, and 7. So it gets 13 plus 11 is 24, plus 7 is 31, and then minus 1 because of Heist. So if you do that, Triple Dark Attack could activate Kragan to steal a resource, then activate the Skreek, and set you up in a situation to like mitigate their die that was in the pool because you did like the chain. So you could like activate their guy, steal their resource. Um, if they hit the damage, because you activate your pirate after, you could
Mm-hmm.
do something like, all right, forcibly activate your guy, activate my Skreek, kill your damage, and then with my ambush activate Kragan. Um, so there's kind of sneaky things going on in there with like your ordering and whatnot. And I'd probably consider playing it there, especially with like one die Kragan. You feel much better about a lot of things. I think that's really an interesting list, and I might build that now. I just wish I had handheld cannon or red. That's the problem. I don't have handheld
Or
cannon
a
or
lot
red.
of or a lot of cards.
Or what?
I said or a lot of other cards.
Yeah, I just want red. I want red because like then I can Mega Blaster. Like who's gonna curl one die Kragan? Nobody. But then
I
I'm mono
will.
yellow.
I'm
Mono
gonna,
yellow's
I'm gonna kill
miserable.
that. I'm gonna kill that Scree
Mm-hmm.
or the other guy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. All right. Support Den of Thieves. It's a support, costs 2. It's unique.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one Den of Thieves out there. And discard the support if it has 3 or more resources on it. Before a yellow character would be dealt damage, you may place that amount of damage on this card as resources instead.
Mm-hmm.
After an opponent loses 1 or more resources, remove 1 resource from the support.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you guys were talking about this card and like testing it in Pirates. I don't exactly know how that ended up going. It seems like it could potentially be very powerful. But it might be just be like a win more card. Like it seems like if you're like taking money from your opponents, then like you probably want to be playing cards that actually kills them. Um, that would be sort of like where my mind would
Yeah.
go with this card. But maybe the fact that you can just reset it over and over again.
Yeah.
And just like how many resources do you have to prevent to make this worth it? Probably
Like 4.
like 4, yeah, 4.
Yeah. So the
And then
thing
the
is
game,
though is if I block 2 damage with it, and then block another 2, it dies. Like if I haven't removed them yet. But we could do
right?
stuff where it's like I blocked the 2, removed 1, then you dealt 1, and I took that 1 on here to get back to 2, and like have gone past the 4 damage concept. The big thing here is because it's resources being played on it. There's a couple abuse scenarios. One of them is raiding party. So it takes damage, and now you can raiding party activate, take the resource off to gain the resource. Raiding party is a questionably bad card, but it is a pirate. It does operate with this thing. The other card is Think on Your Feet, where you need to remove a resource from a card in order to like mitigate a die. So between Merchant Freighter and Den of Thieves, it may give you enough supports to be able to play Think on Your Feet. I I think on your feet you can't do it. Can't do it off of the battlefield though. Um, if you're able to play it off the battlefield, yeah, non-plot card. If you're able to remove it from the battlefield also, which you wouldn't want to do, but it would give you a better option to always have it available. I think Den of Thieves is fine though. Just
Yeah.
straight up as is. Try to block a 2
Yeah,
and
it's
then you can block another 2.
yeah, but like also like you can block like a 3, right? And then just like block a 2 and then like
Block a 3.
block
Yeah.
3.
hmm
That's block 5. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm seems good.
You
It's
got you.
unique is a little bit of a problem, but you only really want one of these anyways.
Yeah.
But
You could also block the 7 from Blizzard.
after you block 2 initially, so you get to block 9.
Yeah.
And then they're real sad.
They don't even resolve it at that point. They stare at you with it and like try to set up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think there were some complaints initially about this because the thing is that like they could get a bunch of value from it. Like if you can block 2, then steal 2, you're like in a real good spot. But like, who the hell's gonna let you block 2 then steal 2? What the hell was that person doing? So it's one of those.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
kind of that.
that's
weird
one of the
situation.
things. Yeah. But
But
the fact that you can just it's straight up like prevent 4, it's like a respectable card. But then
Mhm.
when you get to 5, it's like
Oop.
actively good.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's a choice. If you were forced to do it, then it'd be
Yeah,
real rough. Yeah, it'd be bad.
Yeah.
But
'Cause your
because it's a
opponent
May,
would be
if they
like,
go after a guy you don't even care, you're like, ah, whatever. Like you were just siphoning damage to begin with, maybe, and you just didn't actually care where it went.
right. Because you like the dice you're preventing are pretty high costed. Uh, you can choose. Like the first one's like, oh, I'll take like, a character die to do whatever.
Yeah.
And the next one is like, oh, it was an upgrade that costs 3 or like a support that costs
Mhm.
3.
Block like an Entourage 5 or 6 or something silly, and there's like,
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're just like "Boop."
yep. But all right. Then we got painful losses. 1 cost resource. Sorry, it costs 1. It's a support. It's a unique. Painful losses. After your effect causes an opponent to lose 1 or more resources, you may exhaust this support. Then deal damage to an opponent's character equal to half the number of pirates or scavengers you can spot rounded down. Quanka looks like his brain's knocking some cobwebs off and thinking about this. Trying to figure out what scavengers you can run.
Well, I'm just thinking about cards that were like this before that weren't good, but I'm just trying to figure out if this one might be better because it deals damage, then deal damage to an opponent's character.
Yes.
Pirates. Spot rounded down.
Half though.
I
Half
mean,
rounded down.
so you can't just have 1, it does nothing. If you have 2, it does 1.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 3, it does
1.
1.
Mm-hmm.
So really the sweet spot is like 2. I mean, unless you get like 4 and then you're just like, okay, I'll deal 2.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if that's a thing you can do is play like 4 pirates or 4 scavengers and
You can. You can start the game with 3 pirates and then play like pirate crew member or raiding party and have a 4th pirate.
exhaust the support. Yeah, I mean it's obviously it's like a very powerful effect. Like if you get like 4 damage off of this card, it's pretty insane. If you get 3, it's like pretty good. 2 is like it's like fine at 2, but you really want that 3 or 4. Like once you get into 4, you get into like a very high elite level of payoff for your 1 resource.
Yeah, there's not many scavengers though. If it was pirates or scoundrels, it'd be broken.
Yeah.
Because then you'd be like entourage, fickle, painful losses, and they're like, oh shit. You're like, I'll crack you for 3. I think
You can play. There's Jawas. You can play Jawas.
correct. It's my original list was like 3 of the guy, 2 Jawas, and in the plot. So then you could like give Jawas away and you could painful loss the crap out of people. So like the first one you stole, crack them for 2. And it was like, oh, and you were giving Jawas away. You didn't care. But yeah,
Everyone gets a Jawa.
you get a Jawa and you get a Jawa and you pay the taxes for the Jawa. but yeah, I don't think the card's very amazing. I think it's an interesting concept. I think stealing's much harder than it's going to be though. Like you can probably steal one occasionally, but the way people are playing right now, until people forget about pirates, you can't get away with half of this extra crap. Like your card has to do something in general, and this isn't enough.
Yeah, the painful losses. I think one of the characters in the picture has diamond hands, and he's like
Diamond hands, just losing every bet. Diamond hands.
yep. He's like I guess.
I guess. All right. And you want to take the last one?
Sure. One. It's called Pirate Crew Member. It costs 1 resource. It is a support pirate. Its die side is right 0 range side, 1 range side, modified 1 range side, disrupt blank blank. Its text ability is before you evolve. I'm sure it's supposed to say resolve this die. Before you resolve this die showing damage, you may increase its value by 1 if all characters on your team share a color. And I'm assuming that color is yellow. Maybe in the future they will have a multicolored characters, which maybe that's why they phrased it like that. You know, if you had a character that was both yellow and red.
No, if your other characters are dead, you only have the one color. If you're
Oh, that's fair too. But then you're playing this card in your deck just because your guy dies.
well, no, you're playing this card because it costs 1 and is a pirate.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It still has 1+1 disrupt, right? It's like it's questionable when
Yeah.
you're multicolored, but like you can do it.
Right. I mean, obviously, if like I don't know, like it seems pretty good if you're like mono yellow pirates, right? Like it has a solid two side.
Yeah, 1/2+2. It's better than
Yeah,
conscript at
seems,
that point.
yeah. I mean, that seems really good. I mean, this card like sure, before you resolve statutory damage, you can resolve it. Yeah, I mean, this card seems good. I mean, yeah, it's a pirate. It costs 1. If you're mono yellow, you know, it deals 2, 1, 2, 2. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, you do it with Skreek also.
Skreek.
Skreek, so you got all them range side. You gotta get that action, baby. You Kragan action.
I will say I do like the payoff of being like 1 color. I like that as a design thing. To do it, I don't know if this is as elegant as I would like it because it's like clearly like I guess you could play it if you were in just 1 color and then like later in the game it like kind of makes sense. So yeah, I mean I don't know. I like the design of this card.
Good enough. Good enough.
Good enough.
We finally did it. We survived.
We did it.
Yellow.
Woo!
So, Quenga.
So this was the villain red and villain yellow podcast, and it was like how long? Like 2.5 hours? 2 hours?
It's 2 hours and 22 minutes. The General Veers podcast.
Oh Lord!
And you still only have hero and neutrals to get through.
If you somehow listen to all of this, you are a savage.
You let us know. You let us know how we made your day, because you made it through all of this.
Yeah, I will. I don't know. I was gonna say I'll send you something, but I don't want to.
You take a photo with Nicolas Cage and you send him the photo.
I will give you. I will send you. I don't know. I'm not gonna send you anything, but I will give you a thumbs up. This thumbs up's for
I'll give you a thumbs up.
If you watch, this thumbs up's for you.
That is some unearned thumbs up. You guys need to earn the thumbs up. He gave it to you in advance. It's prepaid.
Well, no, because they heard us. They heard me see that, so that means that they watched it. Oh,
prepaid.
Yeah,
I mean they
and
watched it.
make sure to thumbs up us from our thumbs up to you. You like how I fit that in?
He's out of his mind, guys. He's out of his mind. 2.5 hours later, he's losing it. He's losing it. All right. Well, unfortunately, I don't have anything fun to say at the end of this. Do you, Quenka? Because I don't think we're
2
at the
thumbs
end.
up to you.
We're only at the beginning. And I don't want to see any more thumbs up.
How about a pinky up? No?
Pinky swear?
All right. Well, I think that will end our podcast. We'll hopefully have another podcast to go over I think this has been an impressive run that we've had. We've done like 3.5 hours of podcasting in the last 2 weeks. That's like the most we've done in probably a year in that small amount of time.
I don't think we've ever done 2 podcasts in a week.
We're going hot and heavy.
Yeah, and we got to come back for the next segment. So hopefully somewhere
The
near the
next
end we'll get back to regular podcasting and then have like jokes and life tips because I've heard you guys like those. So like comment on the YouTube, comment in wherever you see this read, what you guys like to hear, and maybe we'll sneak it back in. But for right now, I
Yeah.
think we're exhausted. You're exhausted, and we gotta jam games and see what's going on and get back to you. Pirates, pirates, pirates. Deuces.
Yes.